All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. I am sorry I am late. I got a little late driving back from where I was, but we're back. We have United Airlines, very important for the consumers. They have earnings coming up in like 9 minutes. And then we have Ibkr, very important for brokerages, what's going on with trading activities, all that stuff. After the bell. We'll also have Jason on in about 20 minutes. We will start Technical Tuesday, but those are the main two earnings that we're looking at after the bell. Market's been kind of flat, literally. S&P 500 right here, negative 0.17% on the day. Palantir has not been flat. Palantir breaking through 95, 96, 97, and now 98.72. We got about 9 minutes until the market closes. We're 30 cents away from 99. We were 1 cent away about 5 minutes ago when it was $98.99. Maybe we can get to that $99 level, but it is not too bad to be invested in Palantir today. Exciting day. We haven't had this type of momentum in a while. Obviously, that NATO contract was a big deal yesterday. The market continuing to gain momentum from yesterday's 4% gain, today about 7%. So really 11% in 2 days on Palantir. We haven't had that again really since February. So exciting to see that. RKLB right here, that big contract they got yesterday, that's up 10.32%. So that one's doing well. Shopify's green, Spotify's green. Hood is basically flat, up about 0.14%. Apple's flat, Grab's up 2%. NVDA's up 1.4%. I mean, pretty much a flat day across the market. We do have some green and some really important names like a Netflix that is up 5.3% of the day. Someone very important, at least someone that I look at as an interesting market commentator, sold their Google for Netflix. So we'll talk about that in a second. But then you got other names that are coming back to reality like Webull, down about 35% of the day. The S&P 500 pretty much flat as we end out Tuesday for this week. So what headlines did we get over the past couple of hours that are influencing the flatness of the market? Well, we got more tariff updates. There's three main things that the White House said, and it's not really bullish. It's not super bearish, but it is kind of how it's playing out right now. The White House said we have more than 15 trade deal proposals that are actively being considered. This is not new news. They said this on Friday as well, so they kind of just reaffirmed the statement. They said we can announce them soon. And then they also said this thing that I thought was interesting. President Trump has not made a determination on raising the corporate tax rate. From my understanding, he was never going to raise the corporate tax rate. So I don't even know why that's in consideration. Maybe they have to make some concessions to get the tax bill passed, but I thought they were going to leave it at 21% no matter what. So not sure why there's any confusion on that, but it seems like they are thinking about that corporate tax rate a little bit more. Maybe because if they're going to get rid of tariffs, they need to collect the money from somewhere, and it might not, and it might have to end up being corporations. Now, they also said on China, the ball is in China's court. We don't have to deal with them. That is what the White House said today. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. She also said that Trump maintains his position on Canada. And this is what we ended off the market open with, Trump's tweet about the farmers. She continued to say, hey, we are also thinking of some relief for the farmers, which to me essentially echoes my thoughts on the market open. It looks like China negotiations have not begun because they're literally saying the ball's in China's court. We don't have to deal with them. Yes, you do have to deal with them. Like, of course you have to deal with them, but they're saying they don't have to, but eventually they will. China today announcing that they're probably not going to be procuring any more Boeing airplanes, which is obviously not good for Boeing as a company. And then the fact that they're thinking of some relief for the farmers, that's probably because they know that China is about to come out and stop buying stuff from our farmers, which is what happened in 2018 when Trump had to bail out the farmers to the tune of about $28 billion. That might have to happen again. And they might have to continuously engage in those bailouts until they get to a deal. Inevitably, we're all hoping for a deal, but as of now, it doesn't look like it's happening right now. So those were kind of the main updates for today in terms of what the White House said. Josh Brown, by the way, was the person I was talking about who sold Google for Netflix. His logic was very interesting to me. His argument was Netflix is a consumer defensive company because in a recession, no one's going to cancel it, which then begs the question, what's the bear case for Google? His argument was Google has never had to truly compete. And now that they're being forced to compete with ChatGPT and XAI, et cetera, they don't have like a monopoly on search because people aren't quote unquote searching anymore. Obviously everyone's searching, but like in the future is not just going to be through search. It's going to be through LLMs. He is uncomfortable with Google's ability to meaningfully compete in this new environment. I don't know if that's the best bear case. I like Josh Brown. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's discounting a lot of things of Google. And quite frankly, I think he loved the Wall Street Journal article that came out coincidentally 3 days before Netflix's earnings about how Netflix wants to become $1 trillion company. It's like, I mean, if you're going to trade just off those headlines, then I guess it is what it is. But I don't think that's a reason to sell Google. That's a little bit too intense to then go and buy Netflix. Do I think Netflix is a consumer defensive? Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going to cancel it during a recession, but I don't think they have the type of potential that Google has. Granted, in the next 5 years, I think both will be overall pretty good investments. So that's what we got in the context of Google, Netflix, and all the different headlines that we got today. Now, this was one of the big stories. We got about 4 minutes until the market closes. This one caught me off guard. Didn't expect this, but it actually makes a lot more sense right here. So OpenAI is working on its own social network similar to X, sources told The Verge. Why are they doing this? I think it's pretty obvious to me. XAI bought X because there's billions of posts daily, feeding real-time data into Grok, enhancing the accuracy and quality of the model. OpenAI has a problem. What is the problem? They don't have any data, and they can't keep paying tens and tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, to all these different media companies to get their data, because inevitably you need to have control over the data. Google has data with YouTube. Facebook obviously has data with Instagram and Facebook itself, and then WhatsApp to an extent. And then X has the millions of posts that are posted every single second to get real-time updates. OpenAI has nothing. And you can only scrape the web for so long until you realize you actually need organic data. So I think it makes sense for them to try to build a competing social network to acquire the data from people that are posting. I just think that Meta has Threads, by the way, as well. I just think that if they're trying to legitimately compete with X, Threads tried to compete with X. And although Threads has hundreds of millions of active users, it has not really entered the cultural zeitgeist that is X. At the end of the day, if you want to get the news, it's on X. I don't really know anyone who meaningfully uses Threads. So I don't know if they're going to be able to beat X. But obviously it makes sense for them to try. Now, one of the things that The Verge said was that they are trying to create the social media network using images, meaning it would be like an AI social media image platform. I would imagine you can like type in some prompt and it enhances the photo with images. And then it like kind of becomes like an Instagram scrollable feed. I don't know exactly what their MO is on this, but the more data and the more proprietary data, the better it is for OpenAI. What matters for NVIDIA shareholders is if people are sending billions and billions of queries into some image social network or even some text-based social network, NVIDIA will benefit from training all that data on their chip. So from that perspective, I do think this is bullish NVIDIA, but not sure if they'll be able to compete against X. Okay, we got about 2 minutes until the market closes. We do have that Meta trial that's beginning today as well. I think Zuckerberg is going to testify, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, he hasn't. Oh, he's going to take the stand. That'll probably happen within the next hour, but he's not in court yet. He hasn't even arrived at the court yet. So once he gets to the court, we'll see if we can get some footage of him speaking. And then, we'll see how this trial goes. Again, I think Meta will be successful in this trial. They'll be okay. Meta did take a little bit of a dump today. Where's Meta? 521, down about 2% on the day. I am getting awfully close to initiating a Meta position. I don't know if we see 500 or below 500 again. I think that would be amazing. But if we don't, I think at these levels, it's not crazy. Forward PE is now 20. I also want to wait till we hear from Zucks on earnings, dude. Like, I really don't want to get whipsawed by them saying, yeah, advertising demand is going down. Companies pulling back spend. They're afraid of the tariffs, yada, yada. Even though I think that'll be temporary because once we get the deals, like, it should come back. But I would like to get a little bit more clarity on what's going on with Meta. Palantir right here, 98.40. We got about 30 seconds until we get the close. And then we got United and Ibkr. Those are the most important earnings. It looks like Palantir is going to close above 98, which is very exciting to see after a while, since Palantir has kind of been stuck in the 70s and 80s for a long time. Yeah, Blue Sky, that's another platform. I think they have like 20 million users, but even Blue Sky with the users is not becoming like a lot of people have tried to replicate X, and it's just hard. Like, X is X for a reason. Even if X is not growing massively or super profitable, now they don't have to worry about it because they got acquired. But there is something special about that platform that's just hard to replicate. All right, here we go. Tuesday, April 15th, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. All right, we are done for the day. By the way, I mean, I think the markets have held up relatively well this week considering today's tax day. And for people that had to sell or had to, take money out of their accounts, like, markets are relatively flat, nothing too crazy. So there's probably going to be some more selling throughout the entire week and throughout the entire month. But overall, I think markets have held up decently given the fact that people have to pay taxes and they probably have to sell at prices that they didn't want to sell at because they might not have sold in January, February, had to sell in March to be able to pay taxes. Overall, markets doing all right for today. 98.40 on Palantir. We closed just up 6.24%. Not bad for Palantir. S&P 500 closes down about 0.24%, basically flat on the day. Google was down about 1.74%. NVDA up 1.35%. Netflix up 4.5% on the day. I feel like Netflix is setting up for a pump and dump for their earnings on Thursday. But on the other hand, maybe they're so excited about their, their future prospects that Netflix is going to get bid up and reclaim that 1,064 all-time high on Thursday. So I don't know. I think it's really 50-50 what could happen for Netflix going into Thursday. RKLB right here, 2107, ends the day up 10% on the day. The best performer of, it looks like the entire market. RKLB benefiting from those contracts right there. So RKLB 2107 up 10.14%. Shopify was up 2% on the day. Adobe was down. Spotify was up 4.5%. SoundHound up about 1%. SOFI up about 1%. CrowdStrike up 3.73%. Grab right here was up 2%. Apple 202.14. Again, it was flat on the day. Bank of America, great earnings. That was up 3.5%. Webull, by the way, I finally got Webull's numbers. Webull did $300 million of revenue in 2024. Robinhood did $3 billion. So Webull trading at Robinhood's valuation was a little ridiculous yesterday, but it's starting to come back down. United is green after hours. All right, here we go. This is the first of earnings for the day. United up 2.72% currently right now. Let me see if I can try to get these numbers for United. And then let's check IBKR real quick. IBKR, it went, you guys see that red candle? It went down to 168, then it rebounded. Wow. I wonder if that gets back to that level. That means it was down almost 2% or almost 3%. United right here, it's up about 2%. Let's see if we can get some of these numbers. United's going to be an important one because if they say we don't think people are traveling as much, that would be consistent. All right, here we go with the demand story we've heard over the past couple of days from the soft data. Okay, do we have these numbers? Let me see. And then IBKR is going to be important for Robinhood as well. United. All right, we got a beat and a beat. United, 91 cents versus 74 cents. That's a beat by 23% on EPS. Dude, this quarter is looking very similar to Q4. Almost like 80% of the S&P 500 companies beat on EPS. Even if they didn't beat on revenue, that like the street cares a lot more about EPS because your price to earnings is based on your EPS, and that's what ultimately dictates share price. Revenue is a small beat, 13.2 versus 13.1. Wow, EPS up 700% year over year. I wonder what's happening there to be able to create that level of a beat. But that is not bad. Looks like Q4 had a ton of traveling. So you had a beat on United when it comes to EPS. Where is IBKR? IBKR missed by 3% on EPS, 188 versus 193, but they beat by 1% on revenue, 1.42 versus 1.41. That's not bad. That is not bad at all. 3% EPS beat. That's probably why it fell 2% originally. United's actually up 3%. Wow. Delta, let me take a look at them. Delta is up 3% on the United earnings. And then Southwest is flat. And then what's the other one? American Airlines. They are also up 1%. Looks like United kind of leading the way. And if they had some decent guidance, it's not the worst thing either. Let's get the coverage on United here right now.
This fell.
Morgan, what we have from United Airlines and the guidance is really what we're going to be focused on. But let's start first off with the results from the first quarter. This was a beat, 91 cents a share. The street expecting 76 cents a share. Revenue coming in at $13.21 billion, just a smidge shy of analyst estimates at $13.26 billion. The pre-tax margin of 3%. You got free cash flow at $2.312 billion and revenue per seat mile up 5% year over year. Those numbers are going to be strong. And in addition, when you look at the revenue from the first quarter by each segment, domestic up 3.9% or negative 3.9%, excuse me. International revenue up 5.2%, premium up 9.2%, basic economy up 7.6%. With the exception of domestic, generally speaking, they're seeing the demand come through in the first quarter. But it's the guidance. This is what people are going to be focused on. In the second quarter, United expects to earn $3.25 to $4.25 a share. The estimate is for $3.93. They are also going to be cutting their capacity by 4% compared to their original plan, and that will start in the third quarter, likely goes into the fourth quarter. It's a little bit vague on that guidance there. And then the full year guidance, I'm not sure how much this is going to please investors. They're giving two sets of guidance. If the economy stays stable and is what it is right now, over the rest of this year? Well, they expect to earn what they originally put down as their guidance of $11.50 to $13.50 a share. But United says if there is a recession, and recession is the word they use, they are then forecasting to earn $7 to $9 a share.
Wow. So is this what is this going to be the playbook for companies? Are they going to be like, hey, if no recession, we're good. If there's a recession, this is what you should expect? I mean, that's not crazy to have that type of guidance, but it seems like that's how they're going to try to get out of really giving meaningful guidance, because and to their credit, they kind of can't, because they don't know if there's going to be a recession, but they're essentially warning investors, hey, recession, expect different. No recession, you can hold the stock because it likely will put up the earnings that you're expecting.
Fair. So what you've got is a really wide range, Morgan, between it could be really bad, or if the economy's normal, we stick with our $11.50 to $13.50. Don't forget, we're going to be talking with United CEO Scott Kirby tomorrow morning on Squawk Box. Do not want to miss what he has to say. And again, the focus here is all about what they're seeing in terms of bookings, not only here in the second quarter, but as you move out through the rest of the year.
Okay, Philip.
All right, IBKR. Let's see what we got on IBKR. That was United. Interesting way to play it. Basically giving a warning that if there's a recession, then things could get worse.
Split, and they're also raising the dividend by 7 cents. On that EPS number I mentioned, adjusted EPS $1.88. Street was looking for $1.92 there. Below expectations, revenue of $1.4 billion. That was right in line. I mentioned the stock split, and then the quarterly dividend for Interactive is jumping from 25 cents to 32 cents. Some other stats here: customer accounts increased 32% in the quarter. DARTs, or daily active revenue trades, that was up 50%. And then customer credits and margin loans also higher. Margin loans increased 24%, Morgan. And you can see shares pretty much flat here on that news. Back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Kate Rooney. Well, coming up in just a moment, Interactive.
Okay, IBKR, not too bad. I think the IBKR CEO is going to be on in a bit. We'll hear what he has to say. I'm trying to get the exact numbers from them. I mean, based on what I'm hearing, the stock's really not moving that much because this is not really a growth company, but their overarching numbers are not bad. And it looks likely like Robinhood is going to have a decent quarter based on what they're saying right now. Is United really moving? Wow, United, 5%. Huh. IBKR are basically flat. So interesting. I mean, like, because they basically said if we get a recession, we are slashing our EPS outlook by 40%, from 11 to $7. So, I mean, that is obviously not good. So I think investors are buying this right now based on the assumption that we're not going to get a recession, which actually is not if you assume the worst case was a recession, then you wouldn't buy it. But if there's still tariff volatility, but no recession, it's kind of like United saying, hey, we can weather the storm of tariff volatility and like demand maybe being up and down for a couple quarters, but we can't weather a recession. So I think this is kind of a sign of confidence by them basically saying, yes, we're going to be okay. Just like if we get a recession, then we're screwed. But if no recession, which still isn't the best scenario, but it's at least not the worst case scenario, that's enough of a reason for them to maintain the original guidance of $11.50 to $13 per share for 2025. So, yeah, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world right here. I mean, this is actually really good for other consumer companies that are going to be reporting in the coming weeks. If United's able to give this type of a guidance, you got a lot of the airlines, a lot of the cruise companies, IBKR right here down about 0.39%. Maybe Netflix does the same thing on Friday, right? Maybe they say, hey, if we get in a recession, we're not going to have subscriber growth that's as good as we think it to be. But if we don't have a recession, we're going to be fine. And that could be the way they skirt out of a lot of these guidance issues currently right now. JetBlue, where's JetBlue? This is another one that's had issues. Wow. I didn't even know this thing got below $4. $3.50 was down 4% of the day. That one's up 2% after hours. JetBlue seems to have more structural issues than the other airlines, and that's why it's been in the gutter. But the other airlines definitely getting some momentum. Look at Delta up 3.5%, Southwest up 2.5%, and American Airlines up 2.13% after a decent print by United. Yeah, not as bad as feared. Not as bad as feared when it came to United. Okay, cool. So that was United. We have IBKR as well. Here are the actual IBKR numbers. Got this pulled up right here. Again, it seems reasonable to expect Robin is going to have a decent quarter. Commission revenue is up 36%. Net interest income is up 3%. Other fees and services increased 32%. Execution fees, 20%. General administrative expenses up 24%. And then pre-tax profit margin was about 74%. They do pay a dividend from 25 cents to 32 cents. So they're increasing the dividend. They're also announcing a 4-for-1 split. Wow. So the stock's at 170. Okay, so divide that by 4. That'll be your new share price. When's that happening? That's happening Monday, June 16th. All right, so that's happening as we get into the summer. Customer accounts increased 32%. Customer equity increased 23%. $573 billion in assets. For comparison, Robinhood's at about $200 billion. So Robinhood's not that far away. They're about 50% there. Total DARTs increased 50%. That's daily active trades. Customer credits increased 19%. And then margin loans, take a look at that. 24% year over year, $63 billion. Last number Robinhood gave was about 8.7. I mean, it's not crazy to think that Robinhood could get to maybe 9 to 10 billion as well. Yes, we will have Technical Tuesday today. I sent the link to Jason. He should be here in about 10 minutes. And then we will have Jason on and we will get into all of the technicals. Okay, cool. So that's the main earnings that we had here today. Would you share your thoughts on TLT? I like TLT. It is all dependent on bond yields coming down. United's still going after hours. Wow, it's up 7%, folks. Goodness, that one really getting some love. United TLT was up, yeah, a little bit today. It was up almost 2%, but it ended the day up 0.35. Where's the 10-year? 10-year closed on the day 4.33. It's coming down. It's not bad to see. It's not at 4.5 like it was 2 days ago. And the 30-year as well. Yeah, coming down 4.78. Not bad. Not bad at all. We are actually seeing the bond market chill out for a little bit, which is nice right now. Will Hood's earnings be better than Ibkr? Well, I'm expecting at least 900 million in revenue from my numbers. They're going to be better than Ibkr in terms of pure growth because Robinhood's like more of a growth company. But yeah, I mean, Ibkr has still put up some pretty good earnings. These weren't bad earnings at all. Okay, let's hear from the 15 trade deals update I told you guys about. So again, this wasn't really new news, but it was an update that the White House wanted people to in terms of, hey, we are getting more deals done based on what Trump said about China today. It felt kind of bearish in terms of progress on deals, but it seems like with other countries, they have a better route to get these deals done.
Moving information may be in this.
You never know what's going to come, Brian, but we just had the chance to hear from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt holding her regular press briefing. A few headlines here to bring you. First, on trade, she spoke about the ongoing trade negotiations. She said more than 15 deals, she called these actual pieces of paper, have been put forward by more than 15 countries. They're on the table and under negotiation. She says more than 75 countries have reached out. The president wants to personally sign off on each one of these. And she says the administration believes they will be able to announce some deals, quote, very soon. So we'll have to see what those look like, but forward progress there amidst this 90-day pause. On China specifically, she was also asked about this. She said the president had just given her a statement. She's quoting the president directly here, saying that the ball is in China's court. China needs to make a deal with us. We don't have to make a deal with them. She also says the president said to her that China wants what we have, which is the American consumer. In other words, they need our money. So again, playing hardball there a little bit with Beijing, saying that the president is open to a deal with China, but that China needs to want to make a deal with the U.S. As far as we know, Brian, those two leaders, President Xi and President Trump, have not yet spoken amidst this tariff war. And then finally, just on the corporate tax rate, Caroline Leavitt was asked whether the president would support raising the corporate tax rate in order to pay for other tax cuts. She was non-committal here, but she said she'd seen the proposal. She doesn't believe that the president has yet made a determination on whether he would support that or not. So not closing the door entirely, leaving some room there to potentially seeing the corporate tax rate go a little bit higher.
That's what I thought. In terms of the corporate tax rate, it looks like they need to find a way to pay for their tax cuts if they can't get a tariff deal. And that would come from corporations. Trump is live right now. Let me switch over to him and see what he's talking about. It's not executive orders, but it's some type of ceremony. So let's just take a look at that right here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Please. And J.D. Vance. J.D.? Where's J.D.? What the hell happened to J.D.? Because he was just here. He must have gotten a call from China. He'll be here. Along with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, thank you, Pete, very much. You're doing a great job, too. The Houthis aren't doing very well, but you're doing well, aren't you? Huh? Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan, friend of mine, great guy, very successful person, by the way. Our new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Raisin-Cane. Where is he? There he is. I talked about him in my speeches for years. Who knew I was going to be appointing him to be the top? And it's an honor. It's a real honor. Everything you did with me was perfect. I said, what happened to that guy Raisin-Cane? I want him. And that's what happened. And so you're going to do a great job. I have no doubt about it. Thanks, Dan. Acting Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral James Kilby. Admiral, thank you. Congratulations. And Superintendent of the Naval Academy, Vice Admiral.
Okay, I don't think Trump's doing anything that interesting there. He's probably not going to talk about tariffs. I would hope he doesn't give us more headlines about tariffs, but who knows? It seems like that's a ceremony, so nothing too big for the markets in terms of what that means. IBKR right here getting a little bit of an after hours hit, down about 4% right here, 3.4% on the day. So that is down. Now, we did have another company that had earnings. I didn't even know this company existed. Some of you guys might know it, but it's called JB Hunt Transportation. Learn about a new company every day. All right. They had earnings, and it seems like they're a relatively big company. Here we go.
$1.17. Street wanted to see $1.15, and revenues just barely a beat here. $2.92 billion. Street was looking for $2.9 billion. And as far as intermodal revenue, that was also a beat here at $1.47 billion. Street was looking at 1.4. And intermodal operating income also a beat here, more significantly, $94 million versus $82 million expected. We see shares off about 1.5% now, Morgan.
Okay, so JB Hunt, I don't know this company that intimately, but they beat expectations, 3% EPS, and then 1%. They're doing $2.9 billion of revenue a quarter. So that's a nice little revenue beat by them as well. JB Hunt stock price is down 5%. It's a $13 billion company, trading at a price of sales of 1, PE of 22. 128. Now, the reason their stock is down is because revenue is down 1% and EPS is down 4% year over year. So not really growing, even though they beat expectations in the trucking space. Yeah, never heard of this company before, but they had earnings as well here today. All right, cool. So we had United, which gave us some very interesting perspectives in the context of how to think about their earnings. United still up 6.5% after hours. If there's a recession, it's bad. If there's not a recession, it looks like they'll be able to weather the storm, which is honestly the best I think we could have asked for. Like, at least they're not just not giving any guidance or cutting guidance. So kind of a conditional statement based on the state of the economy and if we have a recession. IBKR is down 3%. Not sure exactly why, but looks like their overall sectors that they need to grow have grown very well. So IBKR doing okay. And then you had JB Hunt that did beat expectations, but is down year over year in terms of revenue and EPS. That one is down 4.5% after hours. All right, cool. Let's move on to Technical Tuesday. It is Tuesday, so we're going to be going through the technicals. Quick disclaimer for those that do not care about technicals, you could probably leave the show today. You don't have to keep watching. I really don't want to see the same people comment the same messages in the chat of how they hate technicals. If you hate it, you just don't have to watch today. Okay, that's okay. So on Tuesdays, we do Technical Tuesday. There's people that want it. If you don't want it, you are free to leave. You're free to go watch something else, but I really just don't want to see thousands and thousands of messages of people that are upset about it, because if you're upset about it, then there's no point to watch it, right? So from that perspective, we don't need the negativity in the chat. We don't need the toxicity. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. But if you do care about technicals and you're curious about perspectives on technicals, then it's time to, once again, roll the intro. There he is.
We made it. We're here. What's up, boys and girls?
What
is
brother?
happening? Are we alive? Did we make it? I don't want to look at the chat. I'm sure it'll be fine.
No, they're all saying they love you. They love you.
All right. Then I do disclaimer. It's funny. I was freaking out with Amit last time, and I'm like, dude, the funniest part was that like I feel like I have been like holding back like a lot in general, and last Tuesday was like the one time when I was like, well, screw it, I'm not gonna hold back, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and people are trolling.
But hopefully they listened, because it was not it, I thought I was pretty, hopefully I didn't scare anybody. I'll just say that. I wouldn't really take back anything in terms of like what could happen, dude. It could happen. We don't know, right?
Yeah, I think let's just say this one thing, because this you did admit to, like, there is a role for the fundamentals playing a role in the technicals. That's it. I think that's all people wanted to hear.
Yeah, and I think so, for like 100%. And if you haven't seen my feed lately, what's funny? I did can you pull my feed? Is it possible?
Yeah.
There was one post I posted over the weekend, and what was it? It was a meme with Trump. Here.
Oh, I see it. Your technical analysis no match against my. Yeah.
No, yeah,
this embodies what's going on right now. There you go.
I've actually been saving this for a while, but it's true, right? So like, the other thing is like, look, I'm an active trader. I do this for a living. I literally am sitting here or in front of a computer with multiple screens on a 1-minute chart. So like, I'm going to see it. Whatever happens, I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it live. And by the time we come back a week from today, things can change. And it might be something like this that will change it.
I love it.
I thought that was funny.
Well, let's get into it. We'll start with the S&P. Everyone's been asking me about the death cross. So I want to start.
I made a post about that also.
Well, let's bring it up. Let's get through that. And then we'll do Palantir. That'll be our first stock after, guys, because I know Palantir had a big day. So we'll do Palantir after.
Okay, so let me share a screen.
But we will start with
that. Do this really quick. I'm going to do this. So it was death cross, right? Confirmed death cross. This was yesterday. My hot take is this is probably the worst technical setup that you'll hear reference in TA. So what I mean by that, by worst, is like, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work, but in terms of percentage of like probabilities or accuracy percentage, because technicals is all about putting statistics to your stuff. It's probably the least reliable of all of them. And so I referenced the last two times. Last time was 2022, which the market did go down, by the way. But when you got the death cross here, 2022, that was right before you got an 11% 15-day rally.
And real quick, the death cross for everyone is 50-day below the 200-day. That's the technical.
50-day. So 50-day here, 50-day, which is blue on my charts, crossing below the 200-day, which is red on my charts. And the time before that, so these are the last two times, happened to basically mark the COVID lows. Yep. This is your death cross right here. So highly unreliable does not mean that we're going to rip to the upside. What I will say, and I'll just make it a little bit bigger here, is that you're going to hear a lot. The reason I pointed out, because you're going to hear a lot about that, like in the coming days. And I think it's kind of like, I'll put it this way. It's about as reliable as, say, the yield curve inversion. How's that? So we got the yield curve inversion, and we just rallied and rallied and rallied. Yep. So it can still happen. 2022, by the way, when we got it, right, when we were referencing, this is 2023. 2022 is here. You got your cross. You got a ripper. But again, one more time, if you don't know how to use the sell button, you're kind of screwed in this case, because we did fail considerably lower from there. So the event itself is not something to be traded. It's just, my point is, it's something to be aware of. Here's one that does work, right? Or that has been validated. This is SMH, right? So the semiconductor ETF, and my buddy Nate brought this one up on the post, but it was like, here's the death cross March 5th of this year. a month ago, and this is what ensues. Whenever I reference simple moving averages in this show, which by the way, did anybody see on X? We actually got knocked off today. Someone started a stream called Technical Tuesday, and I was like, dude, we just got knocked off.
We need to sue them for patent infringement.
But my point was always look at the distance between the simple moving averages, and as long as the distance between them is growing, then you have some momentum in the direction of the simple moving averages, which in terms of the SMH has been going down. In terms of NVIDIA, look, it happened a while ago. NVIDIA was late March, right?
Right. There was the death cross headline late March. You're right. Yeah, on NVIDIA.
So my point is, don't be so reactionary here. You know, the other thing that I did, and I think this is pinned to my profile, and what I wanted to highlight last week, because this is pinned from a while ago. At the end of the day, because fundamentals, so when I say because fundamentals, fundamental valuations in terms of like your PE is something cheap or expensive right here, right now, that piece has kind of been thrown in the trash can a while ago. Everything's more or less cheap. So that fundamental story in that very specific regard is not going to make any sense right now. It's all about, are we pricing in the tariffs, which is a fundamental story,
right,
but it's a different story, right? But what I do know from a technical perspective to be unequivocally true, and we did say this, this was my biggest thing last Tuesday, is that if we are below Friday's lows, we are going down. So this is not, this was last Friday, and I'm just going to put it back and show you how it works. I'll just put 2 here. So there's like first Friday of the month, right? So first Friday of the month was here. It was literally this day right here. And as we're going live, right? If we're below, we're going lower. And if we're below the lows, which means below here, below 502.19, then we are going lower, and we are at risk of some kind of Armageddon black swan event, which we can talk about in a little bit.
And that makes sense because 502 is very close to the actual bottom for the year, which is about 4,800.
Very close. Yeah. And if we are above Friday's high, then we are going up, and there are no more shorts. So where's Friday's high? As I go through this, right? This was your tweet. So this, by the way, that was before the tweet. This is your tweet. This is basically where we are right about now. We are above Friday's high, 526.59. The last piece of this is if we're in between, which we were at the time of the post, we are going to chop, and we would chop inside this range right here, which here's how you interpret this, right? As a longer term person, is that you would interpret this as right here, right now, this low end of that Friday's range is your support, right? And at the time, as we were going into this, this would have been more or less resistance. And that is pretty much exactly what you get. Like, you get this push up into resistance, it fails, it goes back into support, and then we get a tweet, which runs us. And then what you would want to look at from that point forward, what you would want to see is you would want to see that prior resistance here turn into support,
right?
Which is in fact what has so far happened, support, and we're holding. So does the support continue to hold? That's what you want to look at, right? The second, and here's the thing, to be very crystal clear about this tweet, right? Because this is going to be true, not just for this week, not just for next week. And in terms of the technicals, in terms of the direction of the markets, this is still true. I don't really care what the headlines are saying or what the story is. The price action will tell me from a minute to minute, second to second basis or perspective, what's happening on the headlines. Is that if we lose this level, 526, well, we are not going to hold, and we will be in this range, and we would chop, which means that we're going all the way back down, and you're still going to have that that last level, which will then be still again acting as resistance right in here.
Unless Trump literally wants to tweet as we're going all the way back down, right? That's like
No,
the nuance.
Trump tweeting is basically one of the things that would make that happen.
Right. Does
that make sense?
Yeah.
So the technicals will say this, and if there was no Trump or anything, I would actually tell you that this is as close to like A+ type reversal setup as you can get. We should have gone a lot higher, and we can talk about this, right? When I look at this in let's say hindsight, right? This is Sunday's or Monday morning open, and I'll just play this from Mom's perspective here for just a minute. Is that over the weekend, Trump's doing all his shenanigans, right? And we're already down a whole boatload. And Mom's like, make the call, sell it all. I don't trust him, right? And so you can see this happen in the chart of like, okay, panic selling, calls got made over the weekend. We pushed to the lows, breached the lows, and have this, we're going to call it a capitulation low. This is Monday. Does it make sense? Monday, April 7th, capitulation low, meaning that all the sellers over the weekend that had decided to sell, it's going through out of the gate, right? It's happening right then, right there. But there were once the market opened, there were no more sellers to continue to push it down. And that makes sense. And so you got a little bit of a bounce, and then the rest of the sell orders came in. But at the lows, you run out of sellers. Quite frankly, if I zoom into this on a small time frame, as this was happening, this is Wednesday before the tweet. All of this was extremely bearish. Well, if I'm just looking at price, I will say that the internals, there's another thing that we do look at called internals, was kind of like something's not going to give. At this moment, when you're looking at this absolute level here, when it pops up and hits it again, that's Friday's low, right? It should have this is the opportunity for the bears to go in for a death blow right there. And the fact that they couldn't get it done before the tweet, the fact that they couldn't get it done here, this is the moment. And again, this is a 2-minute chart. So like I said, I can see this live. The fact that they couldn't get it done, they couldn't go in for the death blow that moment is like, okay, well, we have to actually go higher, because they should have been able to, had we not, let's call it this, had we not essentially priced in on Monday, like peak bad news. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And real quick, before we continue, we do have a headline by Trump just now. The headline is this is why it's so hard trading this market, right? We may want countries to choose between us or China. Which is a hell of a thing to say. Do you pick the US
in the last hours? In the last hours of the market, he's been in a closed door kind of like thing where he's signing a bunch of orders, right, with no press allowed, like no press. And so we'll get some releases here.
He's essentially saying, do you pick the U.S. consumer or China's labor? And I don't know what countries will pick.
So here's where I'm at. If you assume that this and my weekly trade plan this week was what did I put? I called it like I said, the trap is set. But did you see the boy?
Oh, the boy was cute.
Dude, did you see he fell?
This was the cutest video ever. This was great.
He fell and like he was making no noise. He said nothing. And he's sitting there. I'm like, what he's like hiding, like he's stuck, dude, like completely stuck.
No, that's all of us in this market. Like we're just stuck. We don't know what to do.
He's like, don't mind me. I'm gonna figure it out. Let me think if I can grab that. But no, it didn't work out for him. Oh, and thank you for the pre-orders on the new action figures. We have a new version coming out. We're sold out now.
AI is amazing. AI is
but anyways, here's it. The trap is set, right? So the question is it a bear trap or is it a bull trap? And I kind of think it's a bear trap. Is that wild? Like
why do you think it's a bear trap?
So the technicals are telling me, look, again, as long as we're holding this 502, we're not going any lower. But every time we come up, it's like they keep trying to push this down. And everybody has a tendency to hang around longer, overstay their welcome, if you will. Bears especially. And and we've just been like so brutally down that I'm like, I feel like they still want it. Can it happen? For sure. But if, and here's my logic right now, this is not a technical thing. This is just a total, prognostication. But if this is capitulation low of the trade war, then I think that's a tradable bottom.
Right.
Now I would say that the market did not expect the trade war to go down, or Liberation Day to legitimately be a liquidation day. Legit. I don't think that was so in that respect, this is a black swan because it was just caught the market off guard. If another event piles on top of this, say 30-year yields going over 5%, that could breach this low. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that would be yet another fundamental whoopsies that is not priced into the charts here.
So the level for you that we need to hold for it to not be a bull trap is essentially 535, around that range.
25, right? So as long as for the rest of the month, we have 2 weeks left. As long as we're over 526.59, we should make and the reason I have this next one up here, we should make this slow grinding trajectory up towards that 200-day simple moving average. At which point I'd call it 565 to be very explicit. Oddly enough, that also happens to be D-Day for liquidation day, like when we actually deployed the liquidation day right there. And I think that would, the market is now gone into a, let's call it complacency mode in terms of tariffs and the trade war.
Yeah.
And we're not so worried about them. I do think that there's a trust issue. So no matter what the tweet comes out from here in terms of the trade war or tariffs, that it will have a muted reaction. But like I said, that's just specifically around tariffs. If there's something new that comes out, like mass deportations or the 30-year hitting 5.5, right? That's a whole nother black swan that will crush this straight to the gulag. And the problem is that those levels I gave out a week ago, those are the levels. That's also true, right? But that's Armageddon Day. That's what it would look like. But that is unforeseen at this moment. So that would be a guessing game. So to be, I think my messaging, I tried to have my messaging last time was like, I actually think it was a viable time, but because you really don't know what could happen next, like stay hedged. So don't pay up for a lot of volatility. You can pay for short-term volatility where it's cheaper, a couple weeks out, no more than 30 days out, and hope to God it goes to zero while you're buying, if you're buying, right? And I think that message is still, I wouldn't take that message back. The messaging, I could change for sure, though.
All right.
Is it horrible?
No, they love you. They love you. Everyone. This is what I was like, look, on a day where the S&P goes up 10%, no one wants to hear it's because of TA. But
well, yeah. So like
relaxed, everyone wants to know what are the levels to look at,
Yeah, because it was funny. I was getting slammed, and the next thing I know is like, so somebody's asking me like, so what's the level on Tesla? And I'm like, what?
Yeah, people want to know. All right, can we do Palantir, because this one had a crazy day, and I think people are a little worried. Is it too much?
Let me finish this right now. So like, even if tomorrow, here's the thing, even if tomorrow is red, let's say we get a red open and we close the week over 527, 526.60. I think this trajectory is in the cards for the rest of the month.
Which is what, 580?
Yeah. If we get a tweet, so that's normal momentum. If we get a tweet that pulls back and again, what do we say? We hit rock bottom when you stop digging. If we get a tweet and the market believes that Trump has legitimately put the shovel down and we've actually stopped digging, the velocity to get to this 565 could be within a single trading session at this point, right?
Yeah, we literally saw that happen last week.
Yeah, normal velocity, it would be like a week or two by the end of the month, basically. But at this point, whether or not, here's the thing. The other thing is that there's been too much technical damage for a technician to say that we are in a bull market. So technically, this is a bear market. There's been far too much damage done. Anybody that didn't sell already here, you have to understand that they're going to be taking measures and putting some more protection on. So even if this happens, I would not believe it is going to hold. I would actually think that that gets sold equally fast. If it does happen really fast, I would probably personally fade it.
Yeah, and you know, all the analysts agree with you. I mean, every analyst that I've listened to that's taken down their S&P target, they are assuming it's a bear market until they have the proof that it's not. So that's their baseline.
Yeah, the baseline is that this is a bear market straight up, and that you're still looking for that last dead cat bounce that I was looking for over here that got us about 5% higher. They're these bounces could be faded quickly. So I mean, the fact of the matter is that, look, this is actually already a 12% bounce. Whether or not it feels like it, it probably doesn't if you were long way up here.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, it's like a 10% bounce already
from the absolute lows. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
And
so what
people looking at NVIDIA too, they're like, I'm like, it's literally moved like $25 off the lows. Like, I don't expect it to go like gangbusters here. So that's where our Qs. I'm just going to finish up real quick. Qs very similar, exactly the same. Friday high, Friday low, first Friday of the month, non-farm payroll day. This is a fundamental event that creates my technical levels. Same exact story, same exact trajectory. Boom, right? This retest here is Thursday. Again, A+ from a reversal setup. Normally, we would have completed this and gone a little bit higher. I think because, again, the market's still on high alert for potential whatever. Like, we're taking a little bit longer. If we do fail this kind of quick consolidation, the dip buys, what you want to see is you want to see this hold 441 on Qs and have that turn into support right there. Same exact setup. Upside takes you to 480. If you lose 441 on Qs, it's 419 and then stop. No matter what happens, if we get really bad, it's this Friday low that should hold for the rest of the month for now, like the next 3 weeks, give or take, at least. But here you're consolidating the high. We call this high and tight is the story. Market is very much on edge, but the next move should be to like 480s. There's
okay, so
time is exactly the same. There's one laggard, and that's IWM is looking more like SPY now. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so you said the S&P doesn't really feel like a 10% bounce, but what does feel like an 11% bounce in 48 hours is Palantir. So how are you thinking of this, and do the technical support? I think that NATO deal yesterday you probably heard about was the catalyst, but how are you thinking of this right now?
So the technicals do not support this. Actually, so technicals do not support this. The technicals would say it's probably one to fade. As much as I love you, it's just what it says. If you take it at face value, you could say the last time that you were here, literally right here, Palantir fell 33% in 14 days. So, and remember, technicals don't take into account a NATO. They don't take into account a NATO contract, right? So is that enough to change the story? I don't know, but it's not a higher high just yet. You have to really break through this basically $100 level. Quite frankly, like if you're really concerned, there are some good callers out there that you could get away with. That I was looking at, we modeled this in the server. Look at this, dude. You could sell a May $125 call right now, collect $250, and then buy a $75 put downside protection, which would have protected you for the entire time, and do it for nothing. And you that cost you $0 for every 100 shares. And at the same time, you still have all the upside up to $125, which would be a new all-time high.
Correct.
So
it would be pretty aggressive if we get there again.
Yeah. So in this environment, there are a lot of, and that's only with 30 days to expiration. Like, That's not bad. That's actually
Yeah, to pay nothing in premium for a complete hedge up to 125 is not bad at all.
yeah,
And
complete
down
hedge.
75.
Not a complete hedge. So this is going to hedge about, well, so like the thing is, if it actually comes down, the further it goes down, the more that it hedges, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
the
Yeah.
hedge kind of moves at the same time. It would be, let me just, what I have to do is I have to look at the net delta of the hedge. So initially it's only going to hedge about 20% of your exposure. But again, it's free. Does that make sense? So it'll hedge about 20%, 20 shares of 100 is what it'll hedge. But if you do get doomsday, great. Then yeah, it's going to take it. It's going to pay out. And if not, there's a fair value up to 121, but I don't have a trigger that's going to happen just yet. The moment is like, here's your last, we're going to call it like a break of structure. And so that is like literally here, you have all of this kind of consolidation into here, and then a little bit of buying here, bounce here, and then the big one, which is a sell order right in here. So as I try to get this a little bit more granular, it is right at 101.18. I can make this straight across. And this is the peak of that 101, 101 and a quarter, something like that. Where in the past, we could see there's a lot of action happening, a lot of buying, a lot of selling, right? Your big move up here. So I'm on a 30-minute chart right now. And what I'm just looking for is like, where can I see a lot of confluence? Where's the price moving a lot? And where do I get the biggest candle reactions? And so the biggest candle reactions are coming off of this level, like right here, about $100, just over 100. You get a big move here. This is coming off a power earnings gap, and a lot of pressure coming to the downside that gets bought up right around 99s. And then the biggest move right over here. And the question is, do these people who bought, because these are buy orders, people bought over here, a lot of them sold right here. So the question is now, anybody who's trapped from this order, from this group of buyers, any of them, as they get closer to their entry point, what are they going to do? Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me. And I also think May 5th is earnings. I mean, I'm expecting a pretty good quarter. If we get a blockbuster quarter, I'm very curious how the stock reacts at that point, because it has to get above 125 for it to really.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you have to, if you get a close over 121, okay, cool. And in that case, you're going to need to roll those cover calls. But right here, from a technical perspective, when is May what?
May 5th.
Okay, so you got about 2 weeks. This may be your pre-earnings run, which will then potentially get sold into the next. So up here, before, so if anybody's buying it here, like even if it launches to the upside from here, it might get to like, I'd be looking at this like 110s halfway in there to this next level up here. This is the next one up here.
Which means buying puts becomes really cheap if it gets to those levels as well.
Yeah, I mean the 60s are still cheap, right? I think they're like pennies. But again, that's one where like honestly, you own Palantir, and I bought them at like 50. Even if you bought them like $1 or $2, like, and they go to zero, I slept better. So that's what I meant. Like I would feel fine with that. But this is that next level. Is okay if it gets through there. You're in like a very choppy zone.
Yeah.
So 101 to 110. Did you ring the bell?
We have not rung any bells in this market for the past month and a half. I think everyone's so afraid of ringing a bell.
Are you gonna ring it at 100?
I don't know, dude. I mean, like,
he goes, I don't know, dude.
It's hard to trust anything in this market. But I think the NATO stuff is influencing this today. But as you said, we the momentum has to sustain. And what if Trump says something about China tomorrow and everything tanks? It's like, it's hard.
Yeah. So I mean, the technicals won't lie. They're just gonna move really fast. Like they're gonna move really fast. So if you can't day trade it, and honestly, like my mode right now is very much in the day trader mode, because like the moves had been so insane that like I don't need to buy a whole lot of time, and I don't trust after the close. So like I'm out, right? I'm in and I'm out for the day. That's it. And the swings are like, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing this, like, I think it's the best case scenario to sell premium. I can't guess. I don't think you want to guess aside selling calls versus selling puts either, but the premiums are so juicy right now. It's like, how do you not, if you have a system where you know how to do it, like how do you not go out there and start selling premium? So anyways, so this is Palantir. If you reject, I think this is important too. So the last level downside is kind of like right where we just came off. It's 85s. There were a handful of puts that started to come out, but in all honesty, like the best case scenario, very, very bullish kind of scenario is something like this. And remember, so what I've not been explicit on in the past, and I want to be a little bit, I don't know, you tell me, right? Is if it comes like this and then it holds, I'm telling you, this is best case scenario, something like that. But if it doesn't, we would call this, what we call this would be like a look above and fail, which could be very real. That comes right back down to these like 88 sub 90 level. So it could look great in the morning. And then if you have one of those, we call this like you look above here and then you quickly fail. It's actually this little blip right here where you're really failing. That becomes a short, not necessarily this,
Right?
but this one. You could even get something like that. That is a short. It's a short-term short, and I don't think you need to take it for very long at all, but just however you want to do it, right? Just know that there's a handful of what we call session gaps on Palantir right now that have created a bit of an imbalance in the market that could quickly get filled. And I think are like, you want to at least know that they exist. So the first one is at 88.52 and another little one at 91.75. So the downside to the 20-day, essentially 88.52 on a basic, that's a basic look above fail, would look like this and then stop. And then your next move happens, whether it's up or down, you don't know yet at that point.
Yeah, and I'll just add from a fundamental perspective, Palantir at these multiples now, almost approaching 100, it is still incredibly expensive. I mean, we all know that it is 80 times price to sales. The average price to sales for a SaaS stock is maybe 12 or 13, maybe 20 if you're like a CrowdStrike. So it is expensive. However, I think management is now going to need a new story. And I said this yesterday, but the US commercial story has been amazing. And it's probably going to keep getting amazing, but it can't be the narrative that takes the stock higher, because it's already done its job for the past year and a half, right? From 16 to 90. Now they need a new narrative. And I think that narrative is one of two things: either Doge, which there's a hell of a shot in, that might be the narrative, or it's European growth, aka the NATO stuff, Germany, France. And I wonder on May 5th what angle they're going to approach it, because I think Karp and the team know they need a new story outside of US commercial to be able to keep the multiple the way it is right now.
Yeah. I think, you're out of the weeds. I'm saying weeds right now. I'm not saying woods, because nothing's out of the woods, but you're out of the weeds right now, as long as you're over 71, which seems like a really far away. But like at this point, if 71 or 72, if for whatever reason something happens and you get like this low is not going to hold. Just so you know, right? Like, and that would be like, it's not, because it's already got tested once. So the recent lows, if they get even like remotely close to actually breaking, you don't want to see that. And I think I said something super similar on NVIDIA like maybe a month ago where I was long.
Can we let's officially transition to NVIDIA? We'll do RKLB next, guys, because I know that's a big one. But yeah, let's go to NVIDIA now.
Yeah. So NVIDIA was like, I think I was long over here. And when I was talking about it, I was like, look, I don't want it even remotely close to like this 115 area. And I was like, if it even gets remotely close to 115 after I was long in here, it's no good. What that means from a technical perspective, because look, traders trade, which means that would have flipped into a short back down to the lows. And that's kind of like exactly what happened. Unfortunately, you're pressing and that's what we call a stop. So stop loss means sell and close the position. And that's a big breakdown. So anyways, so this level, remember that was my last trade, and that level is very important. That's about 115. It comes all the way over to here, right? It goes all the way across. We know 123 is your $3 trillion mark. There's a lot of overhead like supply up there, I think. But this 115 is a big deal near term. I'm going to move this forward here. You're very close to it. So right now you've hit it once, twice. You see this? I mean, it's not looking, but you guys can see this.
Sorry, my tax guy just emailed me and he said all the returns have been filed. So just
you need to get your money over there already.
No, I sent the money, but it's the returns that's it.
Did you send extra?
Not yet. I thought I would have to, but apparently I don't. So it's good.
Just in case. So this was old support, right? So this is what we would call like old prior support, this area. Prior support. It is now, so what we call...
Real quick, before you keep going, just to finish a thought on Palantir, you think it's not going to hold 98?
Palantir is in danger zone, right? Because you're in danger zone of retesting the prior breakdown, right? We call this a break of structure. So BOS is for break of structure. So the structure was bullish until here, till you lost this pivot way back when in February, end of February. That's no longer bullish, and you get all the way down. Now you're in a bit of a chop, but you're at the very top of the box, and the box is here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're at the top of the box. You're at the top of resistance. If like normal markets, I say normal, if you're in a trending market, let's say if it, and this is what's hard for people to maybe flip. So you do what you want, but it's not a bull market from a technical perspective, period. Maybe Palantir is probably one of the most bullish charts, but the market overall is not like buy the breakout market. It's like sell. When in a bear market, what you do is you sell at resistance. In a bull market, you buy at support if you get it. But in a bull market, you can also get these breakouts that become like major moves, right? Major movers. The market overall is not like that. Palantir is kind of acting in its own market, but overall, it may be like that until it's not, right? And you don't want to get caught in that. So it's like, this is a very high risk entry, I think is my point, to go long, because it is at the last significant level of resistance. Can you get a move from 101 to 110? Yeah, for sure.
But are you really buying it at 98 for 110, right? That's another question, right? Like, it makes sense. Why would, like, to get that type of a move, you take a risk on Palantir? It seems maybe some traders take that trade, but
no, so like, here's the thing. If you're an active trader and you're watching it tick by tick, second by second, and monitoring the chart as you're in the trade with your finger on the sell button the entire time, like, you can do that.
yeah.
But if you can't glue your face to the screen and the order entry box, you cannot do that. Like, if you might have to take a piss, you might be in trouble, right? Like, you know, people will think, and Mike makes this, that's dumb, right? But like, you can make a lot of money if that's what you do for a living, right? And I mean, a lot of money. But if you don't do that for a living, if you got other stuff,
Yeah,
then it's not for you, right?
expensive piss. Okay, cool. So you think Palantir is just choppy right now?
Listen,
So
I'll tell you what. One of the main, like, I remember when one of my decisions to leave the corporate world was like, I could make or break, I don't know, $250,000 or more in the time that I'm going to have a meeting with you. So if you can't justify me and my family to potentially make $250,000, I don't know that I can justify this meeting anymore.
yeah, no, that's fair. Opportunity cost is a real thing.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild, dude.
All right, so
anyways.
let's go back to NVIDIA then. Let's see.
Oh, back to NVIDIA. So anyways, this is resistance. You can be hopeful, but I would be more cautious than necessarily optimistic, if that makes sense. But anyways, NVIDIA. So this what we were talking about just a second ago, before the tax guy called, is that this was that last breakdown area, boom, right here, and it was acting as support for a while. So, hey, there were times when I literally was like, okay, if I get up, how much could this, or is it better just to go right here? Right
Dude,
now.
like all day traders need diapers, right? Like you can't
like there are stories of people, if you know any like wild actually pit traders, you can ask and be like, have you ever been in the pit and standing next to someone who's like in the middle of a trade but really got to go, and like you look next to him and be like, dude, it's okay, man, just do it, and you would understand. Anyways, you're at resistance, so you're up a lot. Again, I'd be more cautious than optimistic here. It looks okay for me. You've held the 20-day simple moving average, but again, because the SMAs, and I'll just take the lines down for a second. Because my simple moving averages are expanding, they are expanding to the downside. So momentum still favors the downside here, quite frankly. It has reclaimed the 20-day simple moving average, which is really good from a positive perspective. But the caution here is that even if you do continue up and you buck this trend, it's very possible. But what's going to happen is that your SMAs are going to tighten one more time, right? Which means that when your simple moving averages are coming in, it means that you're going to lose momentum. And so my caution to anyone that's really trying to be bullish here in this market as a whole, this moment, next week it might be different, is that we're coming off of 50 VIX. Not VIX is not measured in dollars, so sorry, erase that. But we're coming off of 50 VIX. If we go up, this is exactly the moment, and you guys let me know in the chat. If we go up, this is exactly the moment where you will very likely get your direction correct, but lose money on any call options, specifically call options, if that makes sense. And it's specific to call option because when we're going down and the VIX is 50, all options, whether you understand it or not, calls and puts both go up in premium at an equal pace. They both are increased. Even though the stock is going, you could have probably been in calls in the middle of Armageddon and actually been up, or you might have looked at something and be like, oh, I would think that I'd be down a whole lot more. And you're not if it's going against you in that type of velocity, because volatility is increasing. All options are increasing in premium. Now, if you get what we call a mean reversion, or basically we come back to where we just came from, those options are going to decrease. The weird thing is that if you get a downside move, well, VIX is going to go right back up. And so puts will actually still pay more even in this scenario, just because that volatility is going to be increasing. So here now is a moment that if you want to take a directional bet specifically to the upside, what you want to do is you want to hedge volatility specifically. And so if you don't know what that means, you know what? Amit's going to host an option 301 and he'll tell you all about it. But it's more like debit spreads or time spreads, those kind of thing. Your poor man's covered calls. Those are your friends in this environment to be able to hedge some volatility off. Your friends are not leaps, really, in this moment. Now, if VIX is 20, by the time we come back next week, it will be a different story, because then the decay has exhausted, the volatility decay is exhausted.
Does the NVIDIA chart in general look bullish to you or no?
It does. It looks like it's going to make a solid effort. The problem is that it's not. No, it doesn't look bullish yet. It looks like it's trying to get bullish. How's that? So trying, as in, it's hit its head up against this wall once, twice, and failed. Third time, I think it fails again, right? But you guys know how this works. 1, 2, 3. The fourth time is usually the charm. So if it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, that's usually how this works. Quite frankly. And so that is exactly that, right? So I think you can let it test. I don't think that you need to be in a rush to get this. I don't think you need to be in a rush to get anything. But I do think that the charts, God, I'm going to say this. I'm not supposed to say this stuff. I wasn't going to say. I do think that the lows might be in for this moment. We might have this capitulatory low for now until there's a new black swan event, or something else that pops up. But the problem that I was trying to explain earlier is that options really suck right now if you're an options trader, right? Because of volatility. So it's actually better to let that exhaust and then come back maybe next week or something like that. And in the meantime, know that you can hedge volatility specifically while keeping a directional options position on, but you have to do that with spreads. There's no other way to do that.
By the way, real quick, we do have an update. Figma is filing to go public. Wow, this is nice because we want more IPOs.
Yeah, well, Adobe was gonna.
Yeah, the EU.
They nixed the deal. Adobe not doing so hot.
Yeah, Adobe, I thought they needed to buy Figma, and the EU did not let them, and now Figma is going to be a public company. So there you go.
I don't know. I use Figma right here.
I don't use it, but I know a lot of people that use it. It's a good product.
But
okay, so the verdict on NVIDIA is choppy.
It's trying. Actually, I would be cautiously optimistic here. What I would want to see is multiple closes, and this is hard to say, but I would want to see like 2 to 3 closes over 113.50. So not necessarily 115, but like about 113.50, which is that lower end, way down in here, a little bit deeper. See this little pivot right here?
Yeah.
The low one. So this little pivot is about 113.50. I would like to see 2, maybe 3 daily closes where the close is over 113.50. We've yet to get a single one. We've had intraday moves over that. We've had opens above that, but not a close above that. I'd like to see 1 or 2 daily closes, or maybe even a weekly close. Like if the week closes over 113.50, and then you see the next week continue on to the upside, then I think you can make a go for that $3 trillion mark in that instance. But the trajectory to get there, and maybe just below, the trajectory to get there might be choppy. So again, I feel like either you day trade it as a way to avoid overnight decay, or you use a spread and you do some kind of debit spread that's up to like 125 short call, something in there. Because the thing is, like, once you get there, you need to be aware of this is the channel. It's a downward channel. So these 2 white lines, this one here, right, and this one here, you are in a downward channel. And so even when I was saying an attempt to get up to that 125, or it's 123, it's going to look like this. But yet again, I very quickly expect that to get rejected, and you could have something like this, and it's still going to go sideways until maybe you can get out of that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's either you're looking at it live as it's happening, but a sustain. This is not swing trade market, right? it's just not. Like, you got to give it a little bit for decay to cool off if you're going to go upside trades. If you're going to go downside trades, you don't really, because you're going to get an increased premium pretty quickly, which is weird to say, but the direction of your sentiment matters.
Okay. Can we do Tessie?
Tessie had a good close today.
And do you think, well, you probably don't care because you're more technicals, but I was going to ask, do you think they go under 200 after earnings or no?
I mean, I like Tessie, and so Tesla and Robinhood have proven to have bottomed first, if that makes sense. And I think Tesla is less tariff risk, if you will. We don't know what other risk is, but it's banging its head up against the 20-day simple moving average. This block right here, this white box, has been a consolidation point for Tesla for a very long time. Like it goes back, pretty sure, years, right? This is a big time consolidation zone. So for Tesla to sit in here, take a breather, and accumulate again like this, and kind of like this, especially like this, I think that you could see something like this. But again, meaning where like it pops up out of it. But I would also expect something like this to happen if and when it does. So, I mean, the outlook is and that still remains up to that 325, 330 level is what that would be. Like this. Maybe it undercuts it a little bit, but you got a pretty big imbalance. And I say imbalance. So like it's this volume shelf here, this really big area of low volume that was a very quick and rapid descent that the market can like to get sucked back into and chop around in there. So suck back into and chop around kind of looks like you get sucked back in and then you chop around. Does that make sense?
So what is the kind of core levels you think it needs to hold to be bullish?
I mean, 250 is a good psychological level that it's holding right now. The 20-day, again, the setup is that even if it does reclaim this white line, which is the 20-day, all your simple moving averages, your 200-day is going to it's going to be sloping down at that point. And so this is what it's going to look like. Again, your SMAs are going to be tightening. So your volatility is going to get sucked in. Even if you get a press like this, I think you fade it because it's going to do something like this, right? I think you just be really patient here. I think that these, again, 220s, give or take, are tradable lows in terms of like, as long as you're over that, it's not doomsday here. If you get close, the thing is, if you get close, meaning like if you lose 245, let me take this down for a minute. Here's the level. It's 243. Call it 240. If you lose 240 on Tesla, which is only about $15 lower, and Tesla's intraday range is more than that sometimes, most times, it's going to be a quick downside move back to retest the absolute lows.
Which is 210, I think.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? So like, again, if you do hit the absolute lows, they've held once, twice, 3 times. If you come in to test that, this is what I mean. Like, you don't want it down here. That 4th time is, I just don't think it's going to hold. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's going to knock on it way too many times. And that means that it does have to go a little bit deeper if that's the case. But right now, it's not even attempting to go down there. So it's not, again, I think a lot of things are just like this. You're consolidating and you're coming to a head like this. You give this little triangle, you're coming to a head. There's something brewing across the board. So there is something brewing for sure. This purple line, by the way, is your 200 week simple moving average, which it is above at this point in time right here. That's about 250.
Right.
There's something brewing, but I think this is more like if you went in for a trade now, I feel like you're more anticipating rather than reacting. And when it comes to trading, and this is completely different than investing, trading is more like, do not anticipate if you're going to trade. Investing is like, that's all you're doing is anticipating, right? And if you're anticipating when it comes to a trade, you're going to lose money. What you want to do when it comes to trading is you want to react, right? So you wait for the move to actually start happening, and then you react. And right now we don't have a move that's happening other than like epic consolidation right now. So something is brewing here.
Would you be a buyer at these levels or too?
Yeah, I bought it. I am a buyer here. I like it, but I'm a buyer with like
stop loss,
with a stop loss and potentially a caller. So Tesla, we actually went through this again. So Tesla caller, right? You can, it was May, and it was like at the time you could sell a 330 call. Let's see if you can still do it. You can't do it anymore. But before, you were able to sell a 330 upside call and buy like a 250 downside put for nothing, or even like a $200 put for nothing, and have some kind of caller there, maybe even collect some premium. At this point, you cannot do it on Tesla anymore because volatility has come in. You can do it on Palantir. So here it'd be more like you'd have to sell a $300 call, and then you could buy a $200 put, which collars it basically in this box, like between 300 and 200, you're pretty flat, which actually I don't think is horrible, because the point at which I was just saying, you know, Tesla is going to get really ugly is if it comes in to test those lows. So the only question is like, okay, do you want to cap your upside at 300? That's kind of, I'm not sure I want to do that. I might look for something a little bit juicier.
Yeah, because we know Tesla can run, and I know
Yeah.
300 sounds crazy right now, but it's Tesla, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I want to cap it at 300 right now. If it was higher, okay, so let's say it's July and you sell a 330. No. Yeah, so I think the time to do Tesla is past. And so now it's just like kind of playing out in terms of collaring it, right?
Yeah.
Like you could, maybe it's shorter dated, but I think, you know, you're going to know, right? Like if you get into that 225, it's not going to be fun. And yeah, in that case, I don't even necessarily think that 200 is going to hold, even though it's a nice round number. I think it'd be more like 170s, 180s. But, you know, that's like $30 lower. Tesla, you blink and moves $30 sometimes.
Yeah.
I just don't know that I want to put it in this tight of a box from a caller perspective. Like I will want that downside if we get there, but I don't know that we're there yet. Again, I'd be anticipating, it's probably not horrible. I don't know that I would do it right here, right now. I think if you did it like a week or so ago, it would have been fine. Like literally up here, you could have done it and it would have hedged this better for whatever reason.
Okay.
I mean, if you sold a June, if you sold a June 300 call, you can collect 1250. It's not bad. And then you could buy a $200 put, and then you actually have a net credit for that $100 box. You cap that about 310. Like you don't have any profits over 310. I don't know, dude. That's a tough one here now because this vol has actually come in a bit, specifically on this one.
Yeah, and it looks like we have Tesla earnings right here on Tuesday, April 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we let's do RKLB now. They got a big deal yesterday that surged them 10%. I think they hit 22 at one point today. Same question. Do you think this can hold, or is it just a
No.
momentary?
No, we outlined this last time for sure. And it was like, if you get into this 2130, that was your potential. That was not. So, you know, people get like, you get this moment and it's like, it's all good. It's, you know, news happens. And in the moment, you're like, okay, I have bright green, but like, I would just say like, those are the moments that like when you're feeling super euphoric, sometimes you get a deal, it's you celebrating. Like, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but like, that's the moment that you need to hammer like something, right? Like, instead of celebrating, you need to like take a pause. If you're a trader, if you're an investor, you shouldn't even be watching me right now. Get out of here. But 2130 was that prior all-time high. And, you know, that's where that level comes from right here, right? So you hit it. So what I would say is that one time, big fail. It came back and it's retested. Oh, actually here, one time here, first one. One, two. Let's see you get another one. Third one should be a bigger whoopsie. Fail. And then if you come into it on the fourth try, okay, cool. Then come talk to me, which means that this 1921 is what you want to see hold. Potential BTFDs if you do hold. Because if this $19 level, look at this. So this is your new kind of like intermediate support right in here, the bottom of this box. It's just under 19. So if you do get this, I would expect a larger failure. If you fail, the next one would be a more of like a, it would feel like your dreams might be crushed, but also conversely, that might be the time to like snap out of it and maybe buy a little.
Yeah. I feel like this story is so similar for a lot of stocks in the market right now, where it's like you're euphoric when you see a pump, but then you ask yourself, should I sell into the rip? Should I buy some puts? Should I even care about this pump because it'll go away tomorrow?
Emotions are so important to be able to like feel, right? Or like instead of, and this is so a trader, this is lame. A lot of traders are like robots. Like if you're good enough, you become robotic because that emotional sense that you're having, like people think, oh, being a trader is so fun because like you have all these crazy ups and downs. Like, nah, you did in the beginning. But then after a while, you're like, you get completely desensitized to it because that throws you off when you let like the emotions get a hold of you.
And what desensitizes you is this quote we got from Yahoo Finance on Basent: not all tariff deals will be done in 90 days.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. Like that's not good. like we need the tariff deals, right? So
yeah,
that's something the market's gonna have to figure out if that.
Honestly, dude, I just feel like that neutral trades are like so key to survival right now. Also, I'm doing a challenge. Can I say the challenge?
Yeah, go ahead.
I might blow. I am going to take $2,500 and I'm going to turn it into $20,000, and I'm going to do it completely neutral trades, very systematically. But anyways, I'm pretty sure this is the exact environment.
Are you posting the progress on Twitter, like screenshots?
No, well, I mean, I will, I guess. Like,
Yeah, that's
the thing is,
keep up.
The thing is that like I'm doing it for like the server, but
okay, got you.
Yeah, so like, and I can't. So if I do that right now, currently, well, okay. So if I'll start it today because we've already got about like $4,000 in credit spreads out that are already up like 40% across the board, and I'm already taking some down.
Yeah, a bunch of corridors and
condors. But like with volatility this high, here's the thing. This is all specifically on SPY. I'm not doing it on specific stocks on purpose because single stock risk is a real thing when it comes to neutral option strategies. I don't want that. But I can create literally a range that's $100 wide right now like $100 wide. I don't care if SPY goes up $50 or down $50 in the next 30 days. I'm going to make money. Like, bro, that's like free money to me. But anyways.
And you could do it because of the volatility that's in this.
Yeah,
market.
you can't always do it. So if there was a moment where I would like, this is the time to take advantage of it, this is it.
Okay, so Rocket Lab, you're saying fade the pump.
So Rocket Lab, listen, I think from a trading perspective, this is target acquired. How's that? This is target acquired, and you need to wait, right? And you wait till either you get way over or you get another dip buy. Let's say this ends up being a sell the news. Something like this, I would like that. Like I might even buy a dippy dipper into the depths on Rocket Lab here, because this is, let's say on the third attempt, it fails. I'd love to personally, I would love to see a huge failure on the third attempt to break through this big level, because on the fourth attempt, I'm pretty sure it would go through. And I would probably pick that up.
By the way, NVIDIA's down almost 2% after hours. I don't know if there's a headline. There probably is, because why not? But it is getting hit after hours.
Yeah, so I think the guys were talking about NVIDIA. You can day trade it, but I just feel like this is more of like, I think that the trade war lows are in. I feel like the trade war lows. What that means is that if there's a new, unforeseen event, that's going to probably pile on.
I don't see any headlines, guys. I don't know why it's tanking, but I have no news. Nothing.
He signed a bunch of stuff today. He's probably going to be releasing it right now.
Oh, that's weird. It's like, look at this candle, dude. It just came straight down 1.3%.
You're zoomed in too far. My candle's live.
No, mine's is live too.
I know, but like you're zoomed in too far. Look at my screen. I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's
like
weird.
I could do this. Wait. Is this accurate?
Yeah, there you go.
That's what he wants. 30 seconds, baby. 30-second chart. Let's go. I got precision here.
SEC fine. What? 5.5 billion charges in Q1 due to H2. What are they getting fined for?
And they're like, I'm seeing this. It's 107, 109. No, 109.
Wait, really?
109.75.
Wait, hold on.
Dude, it's a $50 fine though.
A $5 billion.
Watch this. I'll do this.
Hold on.
live.
No, that's not good.
Listen, here's the gap. Session gap. You want this to hold. You're going to fill an imbalance anyways. That's 109.43. Watch where you stop.
Bro, why are they getting fined? What did they do? Even though my covered calls will be good this week, but what?
They make too money. Look. Too much money.
Hold on. SEC fine? What the? This this quarter. That 44 billion is going to be like 39.
Was it $44 billion fine?
No, it's a $5 billion fine, but we're expecting 44 in revenue.
I'm pretty sure that's how much they pay for toilet paper over there, dude.
This is getting ridiculous. I still can't find the source. Let me see if I can find this.
You guys don't usually get the pleasure of a 30-second chart. They can zoom in this much. They're like,
dude, we are all some junkies
like,
that are looking at this. Like, we all need this shit in real time. Okay, here it is. NVIDIA expects 5.5 billion charges in Q1 fiscal 2026 due to H20 products. Oh, it's an SEC filing. It's not an SEC fine. It's an SEC filing. It's probably a document they just put out.
Is it a dip buy?
Wait, 5.5 billion charges due to H20 products. What does that mean? What does that mean? What do you mean? H20 is one of their chips, but why are they taking a 5.5 billion loss?
I know, but your gap is filled here. Ah!
Yeah, I mean, this headline might not matter in the net. Wow, it's 3%.
It's accelerating. It's accelerating.
No, it's not 5.5 million. I'm seeing 5.5 billion. If it was 5.5 million, no one would care. All right, I'll try to get some more details on it. But
no, it's accelerating.
Evan, what's happening, bro? Why is
Evan here? Where's Evan?
Evan's there. He said close the market. Evan, do you understand what they mean by 5.5?
Give him a StreamYard. Send him the link.
Why? If he knows what the hell's going on, that would be nice. Wait, where's SMCI, Jason? Is that tanking with it? It's down 0.5%. All the semis should be down right now. Yeah, all the semis after hours, folks.
SMCI is not a semi, so we would have to go ASML. Is that the one that you're looking for, or like AVGL?
I look at Lam Research, Dell, Micron, Taiwan.
Lam Research.
Dude, all these are semis.
Okay, dude, that's a tooling company.
No, it's part of the semi.
LRCX.
So it's SMCI is definitely a semi. They make servers for GPUs.
That's not a semi.
It's not an NVIDIA semi, but it's part
Right.
of the semiconductor.
Lam Research that makes the tools to make semis.
Look, Jose told me it's a semi, and I'm trusting Jose.
Okay.
So, dude, what do they mean by 5.5 billion in charges? What does that mean? NVIDIA, U.S. government requires a license for export to China and D5 countries of NVIDIA's H20 integrated circuits or any circuits achieving its specs to address potential use in Chinese supercomputers. The license requirement will be okay, here we go. The license requirement will be in effect for an indefinite future, according to the U.S. government.
So mad.
This will result in up to 5.5 billion in charges on NVIDIA's first quarter financial results. Essentially, they're paying 5.5 billion to be able to get out of the export controls, is what I'm thinking this means for their H20 chips.
Okay, so look, so if 109 doesn't hold, then it is 104. That's the next line. I'm just going line to line. Amit is so irritated right now.
No, I'm not irritated. I'm just like confused. I don't understand why. But dude, that fucks their quarter, bro. Like they were gonna do 45 billion or 44 to 45 billion. Now it's gonna be 40 or 39. Fuck, dude. I hate this market so much, bro. Like what? Can we go be real estate investors, bro? Can we invest
Here? Let's be real. I'm on a 30-second chart. Tomorrow, if you open up down here and you get this move up to 109.43, you need to see that reclaim quickly. It's very possible that that happens. In that case, you're going to make your next move. But listen, I just went through this and I said, look, the third fail is usually a big one, right? Like I literally just said that. And this is what I mean by robotic trader. And if you're scared, like, dude, this is exactly what I just outlined. So instead of maybe like, this would be it. This could be your buy that launches it higher. Just saying, ahead of earnings.
Yeah, no, I think
so again, emotional retard, right? But very, very like numb. That's what I would be looking at.
It's a financial loss NVIDIA is reporting because U.S. export rules are blocking sales of their H20 chips. They're losing money. Oh, this makes way more sense. So that's why it's a charge to their Q1. They're not going to be able to put that on the earnings because they're not going to be able to make those sales due to export controls. I think that's the fundamental story right here.
Yeah. So I would still say like anything down in here, I would think that 104 is first. Dude, I'm not gonna say 100.
Dude, what if the market doesn't care about this tomorrow? What if they're like, all right, it's whatever.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to outline. Like this moment, I'm trying to like plan it out for you guys. So like in this moment, let's say, so here's how news works. It could be a really bad headline, but if you get a bad headline and the stock's not going down, that means go long. Like that's a long. You reverse like your Jedi mind trick. You reverse the news. If it's a really good headline and the stock's not going up, it's a short. That's how news works. Even though the headline might be really good. But anyways, so you'd be looking. I'm on the charts again. So you'd be looking
real quick. Let me just share this. This is what everyone needs to know. So this is NVIDIA says U.S. government has banned exports officially of the H20 chips, which are the lowest quality of the chips, but they're still really good chips, indefinitely, citing national security risks tied to potential supercomputing use. As a result, NVIDIA is basically lowering their quote unquote guidance by $5.5 billion. There you go. Go ahead.
Did you say they just lowered guidance?
I mean,
who is that from?
Essentially, that's their SEC filing.
That's their. So is it like a pre-announcement?
Well, they're not literally saying guidance. They're just saying, hey, expect 5.5 billion less, which to me just.
But it's coming from them.
No, it's from NVIDIA. Yeah, 100%. It's from NVIDIA.
Okay.
It's not Reuters or anything.
Yeah, so you can call it like a pre-announcement. So like I think this kind of bases at 104, but you have to have that 104 hold. If it doesn't, it is lower. And you gotta just watch it, right? I think this is one where, like, if you have a big red open, assume you have a big red open. If for whatever reason you have a green open, you do want to fade this. But if you have a big red open that doesn't extend beyond this 104 early, and you start to see like a bounce early, I think you could go long for a little bit, but you need to be aware of this 109 now. Best case scenario is that you get a little bit of boop, and then you get a retest, something like that, and then you continue on your merry way. But this is very choppy, right? And this is exactly what I was saying. Like, even if it does go up, the trajectory here with this kind of overall setup is that it's going to be a very choppy upside. And unless you're either day trading or hedging off your volatility risk with some kind of spread, it's going to be a really hard market to make money on if you're using options as your chosen vehicle to trade. It's equities. Equities actually better, right?
Yeah. No, look, it's crazy headlines that you either react to from a buy the dip perspective, or 9:30 when the markets open tomorrow, we're gonna have a lot more people digesting this news. Most people don't even know this is happening right now.
Yeah. So tomorrow morning, if Amit's like super happy, you probably want to sell it all. No, I'm joking. Right? But, and if I'm joking, but if Amit's like really, if Amit's like really sad, then you probably could buy a little bit. Because I'm not gonna say I still think that like that Monday so far, this whole week, and maybe even a little bit of next week, what we're trying to do, what the market's going to try to do, and is currently trying to do, is solidify that Monday as the capitulation low. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so in order to do that, it does have to chop a little bit and create a new base of buyers. And then that process is not like what people might be looking forward to, because it's not like a V recovery. I don't think that's really in the cards in general, because at this point, there's so much trust. Like, there's a lot of trust issues in general, right? So like, how are you going to have a V out recovery if there's a lot of trust issues in the market?
Dude, I don't think I've ever had trust issues with a girl like I'm having with this market right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's scar tissue, right? So like,
but to be honest, I need 75 more shares to finish my NVIDIA position. So take this sucker back to 85, bro. Let's just
dude. So like,
let's just get it over with, dude.
Why don't you wait till 50?
Okay. No, we're not being that bearish. Hopefully.
No, it's not. I mean, if it's getting below 80s, I mean, dude, it's going there. But yeah, at that point, like, who cares? But you have to have this moment, right? So like, here's let's get real for a second. You have a lower high. I'm gonna do this. I didn't do this for NVIDIA, and this helps Amit a lot. So you guys, this is just for Amit. It's not for you. But this is a lower high, definitively. Lower high.
Yeah,
It's
HUD's
all
down as well because of IBKR, guys. That's why it's down.
It's all lower highs, and it's all lower lows. And you're just looking your general structure. This is what Amit likes. Is actually lower low. It's definitively a lower low. Even here, you have a lower high. But here's where it gets bullish, is that you now have a higher high. Okay, follow? Just because you have one higher high does not mean it's a long. That big nasty move, it's not a long, right? At this point, or sorry, here, you also have a higher low. So you got, this is what we're going to call a break of structure. One more time. Let me take this down for you. It's at this high. It's at this moment, we're going to call this break of structure.
She's down 5%, folks.
This guy.
Take it to 80, bro. Let me finish my position. Take it to 80.
You don't want an 80. That's
No,
the
I
thing.
do.
If you get below this, you just to hold this structure.
No,
Like,
screw that. I don't care. We're not going to 50, but 80 is good enough.
do you see this? So this is your last. So you have a higher low. Okay. Lower high. This one, boom. You did not sweep the lows. You actually have a higher low. Then you have a higher high. And this higher low here at 103 and change solidifies your break of structure. Following? What you don't have is you don't have this. You have equal highs, right? So no, it's not out of the weeds, or it's not out of the woods. Is it a higher high? Maybe. I'll even get. So where's the lowest spot that another higher low can show up? It's coming into it right now. The lowest spot that another higher low can show up is right here. And if it doesn't show up right here,
We're going lower.
you have a problem,
Yeah.
right? You have another problem.
Evan says, I don't think it's a ban. There's a couple of other people, Evan, saying it's a ban of the exports.
So that's what you don't want to have happen. So even all this here, you don't want to have this happen, because now this does kind of lock in a lower high after a bit of a double top.
Okay, it's an indefinite ban until they get a license. So technically it could be reversed. Well, that's actually, see, this could be your buy the dip. If it's
That's literally what I'm trying to say right now.
yeah.
And I don't know if he's hearing me or not, guys.
No, I'm hearing you. I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to get the fundamental facts for why this is happening. But I see your point.
Well, yeah. And so this is so while it's going to take you a really long time to get the facts straight, this is why technicals are this is why I ended up going like in this arena, is because the technicals will tell me probably before you're able to get your facts straight in this very moment. And that is, if this can hold a higher high, if it can hold this higher low, that's fine. And in that instance, then I should expect a little bit of consolidation, something like this. And I'm still on my merry way to potential upside, but I don't want this below this area right here. Does that make sense? Like, I don't really want it below 103, because then you should hold out, because you might get
Okay,
lower.
so question right now, right? It's at 106.27, down 5%. If someone said, hey, Jason, I want a DCA, should I buy right? Like, how would you technically answer that question?
I would technically answer them exactly like I'm saying. I would say, wait, don't do anything now. This market is very thinly traded. And if you see this in the morning, I mean, like, okay, so assuming they're not an active trader, I think you can buy a little bit, not an active trader, and as close to 100 as you can, but don't have a lot of high hopes that it's going to turn around tomorrow, and definitely have it be a small allocation initially, like 25% of what you intend to buy, kind of small, literally, because you could be getting a lot better prices.
One thing I will say right here is that I feel like Biden would have done the same, because regardless of the trade war, we don't want China to have really good AI. So technically, I don't know what administration. I think it's apolitical here. Any administration would have said, "Hey, NVIDIA, you can't keep."
Did you see my post about Peter yesterday or last night?
Peter who?
Peter. So he's on. Can you play this? It's like a 1-minute clip.
Yeah. Go ahead, play.
I can't play it on my end.
Oh, you can't play it? Yeah, I'll play it. Oh, so boy.
I was on a space last week, and this is a guy that's Peter Tuchman. We call him the Einstein of Wall Street. He's like the most photographed.
Oh, that guy. I know that guy.
So he's in the pits all day, every day. And he comes on the space and he tells this little story. And I'm like, yo, the story's a little wild, because what he says is that the day that we got our tariffs are done, he says the story about, like, it was Jamie calling the White House to warn Trump about, yo, dude, if you break the bond market, it's a wrap.
All right, let me play it. Let's hear this.
yesterday, but you know, we had this huge bond auction yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Okay.
And you know, you can mess with the equity market, you can mess with the futures market, but you can't mess with the bond market. And you know, China and Japan are the largest buyers of U.S. bonds. And when China, who we're picking a fight with, decides they don't want to buy the bonds anymore, then that can cause our market to crash way worse than it crashed already, right? And so what ended up happening was, after Trump gave, you know, ducked the tariffs for every country except China, and then that evening we had a bond auction. China just said, "Screw all of you," and they stepped away from the auction. And we were looking at going up to a 5% yield, which would have crashed the U.S. market. And it turns out that Jamie Dimon actually had to call the White House and say, if you don't pause the tariffs right now, we're going down the tubes big time. And that's why, in fact, Trump actually paused the tariffs. It wasn't any genius idea on his part. It was basically to protect us from going down another 10%. So, you know.
Now, does he know for sure?
So hearsay, not admissible in court, right? To be fair, it's all hearsay. But it would be wild, right? Like if that, I mean, he's in the pits. I don't have a reason.
No, he has a lot of personal experience, and he hears a lot of stuff as well. That's fair.
So best case scenario is you end up getting a little bit of some like this, and then your other traders start to see, oh, this is a reversal setup.
I forgot to mention this on the market open, guys, and the close, but yes, Jamie Dimon did sell $30 million worth of JPM yesterday. So it's his second sale in a year. He doesn't usually sell. The first one last year was after 20 years of holding, and then this is the second one. So there you go. Okay, we got to move on. This was the NVIDIA stuff.
Okay, but I just thought it was funny. Like if there's a trade, so that is a black swan event that's not factored into the market. I don't think that anybody's thinking about potentially China using their purchasing power in our bond market as their negotiating leverage.
No, I think that's actually not a new thesis. Everyone thought China was selling the bonds last week.
Not selling, but like not participating.
Oh, not buying in the auctions? Okay.
Yeah. Because if there's no buyers, then the yields have to go up. And they are a large buyer.
Then Japan. Okay. Yeah.
All right, we'll just go hoodie. So I like hoodie, but I am very cautious on hoodie here now. 45 is, again, we're at that resistance level. Not unlike Palantir, I just think that it's more of a higher risk area if you were to enter. 1, 2, 3 big breakdowns. We are testing it right here. Yes, it's a bit of a look above at the moment. Best case scenario is this chops. Dude, Robinhood, bro, the level of beta on this name is just
aggressive. Aggressive, bro.
I mean, it's more than aggressive, dude. But
you and I both experienced it firsthand when we bought it at 8 and saw it triple in like 5 months.
No. So it's the speed of the moves. That 8 to 20 something took like 2 years, dude. Come on. That was chilling, cruising, no big deal.
And I got in December 2023, so it took like 7 months. But yes, if you got in July.
Oh, okay. But okay, it took 7 months.
Yeah.
We're talking about going up and down 10, 20% in single sessions now.
Yeah.
It's intense. And so like I've honestly deferred to like I don't trade it. I just own it now. Because it's so crazy. Because like, yeah, I had 45 as potential upside, actual real resistance, which it did get to. And because some of the moves are happening so fast now, it's like I don't even know that even if I was in a debit spread to take that trade, number one, it hit that on Monday. So I don't know that I would have been even close to my hopeful value. Yeah, it just.
So what's the like? We buying? We holding? You're hedging?
I'm holding. It's a hold.
You did see the April numbers. Vlad posted their #1 on the App Store. Like I thought the volatility would get people to.
Yeah, we're supposed to know. I think they're pinging me. What are the numbers coming?
Oh no, we don't get any more. Now it's just earnings. But
now it's just earnings.
But I thought volatility would get people to say, screw the markets. They're rigged. I don't care. Volatility got people to say, I want to invest. And people started downloading. It was number 30 in the entire app store in the United States.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, because of that stupid phrase, generational buying opportunity. Dude, I admit text. I just like that's it. It's laughable to me as a millennial who has seen multiple. Are you supposed to see a generational opportunity once in your generation? I've seen it 3 times, and I'm like, or more than 3 times. I don't know, but that phrase has 0 meaning to me anymore.
Yeah, and I guess people are getting excited and they're trying to invest more, but I don't know how much that's going to impact their Q2, which is the issue now. Q1 is going to be really good. Q2, I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe this is similar 1, 2, 3, or maybe even like a 2, 3. But if the lows are actually in fact in, whatever dip this is that comes should be the buy or a buy. But again, if you don't get it in short order, it needs to be exit stage left on whatever it is that you bought. If you are trading, right? And I would defer back to the SPY chart on that first Friday of the month, high low. If the index, I don't care what your chart says, but if at the index level, you're not doing what you need to be doing, and you're not holding this, you are going back to the lows, and your stock might be going lower than the lows depending on wherever you are, because different stocks bottom at different times. So again, what I'm saying is like, this should be a little bit lower. It should be the retest. You can even go sideways, but that's what it should be if this is going to solidify capitulation lows. If not, unfortunately, it could be like this, like that, and then like that. But at no point am I actually thinking short, unless it's like this. It would have to be like this. Then I'm short. Like that.
All right. For everyone asking, by the way, why the semis are down, I think they're just following NVIDIA, so that's what's happening. Can we do Meta, Jason? A lot of people are thinking
Meta. So Meta's doing exactly. So again, okay, so this I have automated. This is a script, but it's on Friday's high, dude. Meta is unfortunate. They're having this antitrust issue. And the last time Meta had antitrust lawsuits that they were dealing with, it was actually it actually took the stock down pretty good. So antitrust lawsuits are something that can mess with Meta specifically. So if it loses literally right here, 517, 518, I think you see that sub 500 again. But if it's really pushing below 495, it is lower in the meantime. In the meantime, this really like is the test. Like, and this is what's weird. Amazon's actually in the very same place, very similar place. Whereas like this is the retest. Like here now is the retest that you'd want to see, but nothing's happening. You see what I'm saying? Like it's there. And we get it even intraday. Like I get this retest intraday. This is a 1-minute chart. I'm watching it live, baby. I'm here. I'm watching this. It should be going, but the interest that I'm seeing is sus for sure. I'm not seeing any big moves. Like I'm not seeing the interest come up the way that I would expect if this was the normal market. So it's right here. I mean, if your time horizon is long enough, this is probably a buy. But can it go lower? I mean, the lower is it's wild how we have this. So here's your breakdown. How we have this fracking broadening formation. It's just barely sweeping the lows. It's probably closer to 470.
By the way, NVIDIA guys down about 6% after hours. All the semis are going to follow it, no matter a Palantir.
So what Amit was doing, he was just panic selling. I'm not typing Amit.
I was texting my dad because he's calling me right now. I think my dad probably wants to know what's going on with NVIDIA. I can't talk him in the show right now.
He's accelerating.
Dude, whenever there's something that happens in the market, like some dramatic move, I get a call from my dad. He's like, "So what's happening?" I'm like, "Dad, I'm in the show. I can't just pick up the call."
Hey, I'll tell you this much. I like this setup. So me personally, I'm looking at this and be like, I'm gonna let this do its thing. If it opens up tomorrow around like 103.80 and it doesn't go lower and it starts to go a little bit higher, I'm probably gonna buy this for a day trade at least. But the thing is, like, none of it's really like swing
Jason,
trades.
we're not as good as these people that are dropping $1 million on puts right before the close. Like, you need to do some shit like this because
that's when I
that's how
do
we
it,
know
dude. I do it at the close if I'm gonna do anything.
No, but you need to do this predictive shit where we think you're an insider. That's how we'll really know you're good.
Bro, first of all, they could have looked at like, okay, what about the 5,000?
There's no way these
May?
people know Eric Trump and Don Jr. and they probably are in a group chat and they're probably like, "Hey, buy puts on it." I'm telling you, this is happening.
$1 million, I don't think is that big for this option chain.
Still, bro, it's insane. If anyone wants the NVIDIA coverage, rewind 20 minutes. You'll get all the coverage. We talked about it, but yeah, it's up to you.
I'm looking 103.80s. So if it holds that in the morning, I might be a buyer for a short time, not necessarily a long time. Because what is happening right now is that in this very moment, you're creating a pretty heavy market imbalance. So like there's a very large imbalance that's being created as we speak. Up to 110, literally right now. So this whole imbalance is happening after hours. Look at how much volume there is. Look at the volume right now. This is a huge imbalance.
Yeah.
So the probability, what that means is that like the probability of it actually at least retracing back up into before going somewhere, maybe the gulag, maybe not the gulag, I don't know yet, is pretty high.
Okay, so I'm doing a poll right now. Do you think NVIDIA tanks more on the open tomorrow, aka when that
does it crack 100?
Okay, so tanks more equals crack 100. So if you pick yes, that means it's going below 100. That's what.
Oh shit, that's bearish, dude.
Dude, no one even wants to look at TA on any other freaking stocks now because of this news. Like oh my god, almost 7%. Palantir 2% with it. Meta about 0.5%, SMCI 4%, Dell 2%, Lam 1%, ASML 1%, Intel 1%, AMD 7.2. AMD is like the ugly stepchild that just gets hit.
Look at Savage. See, Savage has got my back.
What did he say? Oh yeah. Savage, thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you, brother.
He is in there.
He's been getting tons of value from you. He loves your stuff. This is my goodness. What did the chat say? The poll is, wow, 75% of you say we tank below 100 on the open.
So all the bears from your stream showed up for today.
No, bro. Actually, honestly, dude, it's like me. It's price action dictate. Like magically, if NVIDIA scooped up to 115 right now, it would reverse the poll. It's just like,
I'm just saying, listen, if I can get a $5 quick move on NVIDIA intraday, because I'm sitting here as my day job from like 105 to 110, I could make a couple $1,000s in a couple seconds, dude, or minutes maybe. And that's worth my time. But but I got to see it happen first.
But you're not in the group chat with Eric Trump. You can't make a couple $1 million in a couple seconds. That's the difference.
Oh, I mean, so listen, I used to fly like that. I used to roll like that. I think something happened to like my heart at that point, and I don't roll like that anymore. Yeah.
This is the headline right here for those that want to know what's happening. They cannot sell their chips to China, particularly the H20s anymore. So that is the headline right
now. You know
now.
what I'm really excited about right now, Amit?
What?
My condors are going to print so hard. I am pretty positive I'm going to take $2,500 and roll it into 20K in like record short order.
I think every week you should post it. People would love following that on Twitter. That would be like a really good
I mean, what's fun, like TJ doesn't even know how to do this, like, because like people don't know condors is different, right?
Yeah, TJ doesn't do, he does puts and calls. That's it.
Yeah, I could really give a shit about direction on this, dude. I mean, I put one on today. It's like on like Dude,
No, don't explain. Do it on options 301 because most people, including myself, aren't going to get it. When we do 301, then
but not just. I'll make it very simple. It could go like SPY can go down to 500 or up to 570. That's $70 range, and I'm gonna make money, like a good amount of money. And I have 30 days for it to be somewhere inside of. I have 30 days for SPY to trade somewhere between 500 and 570, and I'm gonna make a good chunk of change.
wait, no. What's the percentage return on if it stays in that range?
I risk 3 to make 1 at a base case, but really, so like it's the way I do it is probably the best condor that you. So I do them $5 wide, and I collect about $200 to do that. So my risk is technically $300, but I'm making about $200, and they're about 20 delta, so it's an 80% probability of expiring.
And this environment is where it makes sense because
Dude,
it's hard to bet S&P is going to go above 570. Hard to bet it's going to go below 500. Right?
Yeah. And all I need is it to trade inside that $70 range, like a couple times, after it's sitting there for a week or so.
There's the S&P, by the way, folks, down 1%, along with NVIDIA getting schmacked right now.
Schmacking down. So this is what, so, and I, the plan is to do this on Thursday mornings, but I might get a little overzealous here and go ham tomorrow at the open because I'm liking this.
Who's got the balls to buy the dip right now? Like, what if this thing pumps to 110 by the open tomorrow? And this was
look, dude, we haven't really broken structure yet. Like 526.59, that's my level. So like, I'd love to see it at 526.59 and stop on a dime.
Yeah,
honestly.
Well, it is what it is. This is the whole world.
So like the Bears are gonna be like, yo, this is, so we're just yapping right now because honestly, and I kind of like that we're doing this because it's at the index level, it's so important to be the focus right now, rather than trying to do like the individual stocks, because like this is going to tell you sooner than later, like sooner, where like when the index level is in the clear, okay, cool. But like, yeah, it's like this. If we lose 526, we are going to see near 500s within one day, maybe two, within 2 days, we will drop $20. You can quote me on that.
What could cause this as well is, let's say NVIDIA comes out in Q1 and they say, hey, yeah, Q2, we're taking another $5 billion charge. I mean, it just totally changes the fiscal year for them completely.
Yeah. But for now, this is the dip that I'm, myself included, might be getting excited for. The thing is, like, again, if I get a close below this 526, the move down to 502, this $25 move, this happens when I'm inside. So it's because it's that same session. This move is almost always within 36 hours of this entire range. So this $20 range usually happens within 36 hours, no matter what. Like this is one. Okay, so like you're not gonna believe me because this is there, right? Like this is, so we're heavy volatility. We were not heavy volatility here, but here's the same move inside that range usually happens within 36 hours. So from here to here is one trading session, right? From here to here, 1.5 trading sessions, right? From here to here, literally one trading session. So there's a $20+ move here to here, 2 trading sessions, 1 session. Here to here, 1 session. It's a $20.
Can we look at the VIX, Jason, as well?
Yeah.
See what's happening.
It's at 30. So I was short the VIX until today, and I closed my my VIX.
By the way, before we get into the VIX, let me just play this clip. This is the news on NVIDIA.
We've got breaking news on NVIDIA here. Shares are heading sharply lower after hours. Steve Kovacs got the details behind the move. Steve.
Hey there, Melissa. Yeah, shares down about 3.5% right now. This is after a 8K filing NVIDIA just filed saying they heard from the U.S. government last week saying they need a license to sell H20 chips to China. H20 chips are the ones that were supposed to kind of skirt around some of the most advanced features and be able to be sold into China. That is not happening now, or at least they need a licensing process for it. And now NVIDIA says they expect to take a $5.5 billion charge because of the inventory they have stacked up there. You see shares moving down 3.5% now, Melissa.
All right, Steve. Thank you, Steve Kovacs. So there was some giddiness about an exemption, some sort of a carve out, but of course there's still the headwind of this license issue.
Well, it goes back and forth. I mean, like yesterday there was news, or Monday or anything. By the way, Chinese supposedly have bought $16 billion of these H20s just in Q1. That's equal to what they bought all of last year. So again, I think these guys were stockpiling in front of these sorts of things. But I would suspect that this is something that is going to carry on over the course of this year. $5 billion, charge. That's not insignificant.
Yeah.
No, it's not insignificant at all. It's a lot of money. Hood's tanking as well because of it.
Hood's tanking because of a semi-license.
Well, no, in general, it's just it screws the market. It's
a trust issue, man. Like the whole thing. Like you're going through it right now. You're getting some serious trust issues, some serious scar tissue, my dude.
Well, also the H20 was designed for the purpose of being exportable
through.
No. It was designed. It was designed. It was designed to be exportable to China without violating the laws of the Biden administration of supercomputers. So the fact that they're banning this, NVIDIA is probably like, "What the fuck?" NVIDIA was like, "We designed it so that it wouldn't be too powerful, but let us at least sell it," And that's what's creating the trust issues in the market.
Well, no, they still have SMCI and whoever, right?
Dude, fuck SMCI, dude. 6 futures, by the way, guys, they just opened. Got a nasty little open on the futures right here.
Oh, there you go. My futures, I don't have the license. It's not updating.
Yeah, it's down 1% across the board, basically. VIX is up 3%. This was not how I thought 2025 was going to play out, but here we are.
Dude, so I said this last Tuesday. I was like, we could rally. I think it's even possible to rally up to like July. But bro, I'm cutting exposure. I don't really care. Like I'm trimming exposure at that point.
No, I'm not as good as you as timing this stuff, so I'm just buying the dip.
I just use the calendar.
I think I will hedge more though. I think buying some I guess my quote unquote hedge has been covered.
So hedging is more like for equities against equity holding, you collar, right? You always do costless collar. Not always, but a lot of times you can find some kind of costless collar. And at least knowing to do it at resistance rather than, hoping for the, when you that's your like internal kind of like yellow flag. When you get that euphoric moment, you get really excited, everything's green. Like pause for a second.
Yeah, it's like puts have been decent in this market, covered calls have been decent, buying long calls have been disgusting unless you've been really quick at trading them. Leaps have not worked.
Yeah, you have to. It's like day trade mode. It's not swing trade mode. And like I said, even if you get the direction right, and especially if you take a bullish direction, you're not. And if you're buying things that like, if you think that like you have buying time, meaning like 60, 90, 180 days of time, it's like, oh, you're in the heat, like you're in the meat of the premium that you're paying up for.
What if they get an expedited license tomorrow?
Yeah,
but we're in the middle of a trade war. Why would China give them an expedite? It's like, I think China likes this. They like fucking with NVIDIA right here. Like, all right. NVIDIA's it. Can we do AMD? A lot of people want
Tanner.
Yeah, Tanner's
I like Tanner's right? So like, I think that, listen, I'm not going to waver on if this is a lower high, this might have been what you were looking for. I still don't think that you need to like rush out.
No, I don't think you need to sell, but the fundamental problem here is They just took off $5 billion of revenue. And if this doesn't change in the next 90 days, they're going to do that again and again. And that means the PE has to fundamentally change because that EPS is not going to be anywhere near 450, which is what I was projecting this year.
It was already changing.
I mean,
Right,
as Q1, yeah, officially.
Yeah.
Can we do AMD? Can we look at that chart?
What is
All the
that?
technicals. I know a lot of people are in the AMD trade as well, and that one's getting hit semis. Yeah, a lot of dude. There's a big AMD community, bro.
Are you
Really?
the leader?
I am not. I barely know anything about AMD, but there's a lot of people that like this one.
Okay. I mean, we went over this last week and it was out of the downtrend. It's just so sad. It was out of the downtrend. Here's your downtrend. This thing is like, why is it expanding? Oh God. I'm using an auto tool and it's like the downtrend is getting bigger.
Someone said, could it help AMD if NVIDIA?
Well, AMD did that deal, right? Did the deal. No, because this is selling to China.
Yeah, I don't think this has any impact on AMD. Like, I don't think it's a tailwind for them. It's not like China is going to buy their chips over NVIDIA.
But it's all like you're getting a retest.
Dude, you keep calling for 50. Can you say 50 for AMD instead of NVIDIA? Like, I feel like that's...
No.
Oh,
I never
AMD, you have 30 for AMD, right? You have 22 cents for AMD or something.
Well, I bought AMD, I think it was like $6, honestly.
That must have been years ago then, right?
$2 here. It was like this. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, forever ago.
Okay, so
a decade ago.
I think the TA.
Then I sold it.
Yeah, I think the TA here is just like if NVIDIA gets hit, AMD gets hit as well. I mean, that's.
No, I mean it's a little worse.
Why?
Well, it's a little worse because, like, I mean, this is just getting steeper and steeper, the distance between, right? And then if this does continue on, the problem is at this moment that the distance to the 20 and 50 day right here is actually pretty tight. So like if you get another expansion between these two lines, that all this means that the potential for additional Momo, if and only if its downside is more. There's not potential for upside Momo because of the way that would end up playing out. That would just tighten the range.
Real quick before you keep going through this, Dan Ives' quick take on this. He says, I'm not overly concerned by this news despite the headline and NVIDIA remains caught in tariff spiderweb. Street knows this, need to look through this period of volatility and news to see forest through the trees. NVIDIA, only chip in the world fueling AI revolution. So Dan Ives doesn't care.
And honestly, dude, if you're buying AMD here, do you really care if it goes to 50? I mean, it was 50. Okay, so the next level downside is 59. I thought it was 69 because that was the last purchase level I got on AMD, which was somewhere around here. 69. I had a cost basis of $69.69, and then I sold it.
When did you sell? Recently?
No, I think I sold it somewhere around $100. I'm a trader, dude.
All right, so
for AMD, I was a trader.
So you think AMD is choppy, but the chart is worse than NVIDIA, basically?
Well, the momentum. Well, actually, I mean, they both have potential for a lot of Momo. Still, I mean, AMD is still it is what it is. If it gets really bad, I don't strong. All I can say is we're strong and moderate support are on the charts, right? So like you're actually at a strong what I would call resistance level. Like you're at a strong resistance at 100 on AMD. Does that make sense? Because of this should have been strong support, but it just blasted right through. And so now you're more in this camp, knocking on the door from the downside. So can you get this kind of like up, 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 and then you want to see that? This is what I mean by like, I'm not trying to pick a bottom. I would wait for that full break over like 110 and then come back in and hold over 100 before I'm like really interested. Otherwise, these little whoopsies, who knows? But so strong support is in the 60s for AMD. But yeah, it's
where do we get on April 8th? How low do we get?
So 60 here.
Oh, it touched 60.
And then 33. Those are your major levels. But like that's what it is. Like I just like I'm not. It's not like opinion. It's just what the charts are, and that's why I was like, I took all my opinion out last time, and I was like, I think I said there it is 33. But like, there's a stop in between. Yeah. The stop is here, just under 60. But like it needs to hold 78, right? Like as long as 78, and you're pretty far away from 78, dude. So like you're not like if it all breaks apart, call it 75. It is so 74. You'd like to see it hold. If not, the next stop is at this price action technical level is 59. And then who knows what the hell's going on if it hits 33, but that's the imbalance. That's the full imbalance right in here. Something has to change with the story.
Okay, can we do Micron next? Because a lot of people are asking for that. Before that, real quick, just to recap, the reason everything's tanking right now is because NVIDIA just informed everyone.
Nothing's tanking, dude.
Okay, let me continue because NVIDIA is definitely tanking. But NVIDIA said the U.S. government has banned them from selling their H20 chips to China for national security reasons. That's a $5.5 billion charge to fiscal Q1. Theoretically, this could go on throughout the entire year. And as a result, NVIDIA is down about 7%, S&P is down 1%, Palantir is down 2%, Robin is down 5%. So
it's possibly locking in a higher low, just slightly over where it was about 5 days ago. Also,
okay, Micron, and then we'll do Micron, and then we'll do SOFI after that as well.
Moo. Yeah, on this.
Also, can someone tell me in the chat why you guys like Micron so much? Because I don't understand the obsession. There's like
I do not. If NVIDIA is not working, there's no way in hell Micron's going to work.
Which I don't get. People are against NVIDIA, but they want to buy memory storage. Like what?
No. There's no special sauce in Micron. There's like IP in NVIDIA. It's a commodity. It's a commodity.
No, but people really care about this name, and I'm trying to figure out like who's pumping it to get people this excited about Micron. Because I don't understand why people love this stock. I don't know if they got into it in 2024 and they've just been holding it since then, but this one has been confusing me for a while.
Well, you're not in the box anymore. The box was 85.
Yeah, I mean it's easily left that. And like, there's no way in hell NVIDIA is stuck at 100 and Micron's like everything follows, whether for better or for worse.
Wasn't Micron at like 30 something when it had? Yeah, it's 48. So this was accounting issues on Micron over here. I remember that CFO left, and it took like a year or so to recover. And then you have the AI boom at 65, and you're retesting that. You've actually So maybe here's one reason. So it is a good. I can't knock that spot. It's not a bad spot because you're at the broader. You have no AI priced in here at all. So you do not. There is no AI here. So That's good. But does it, the market is saying, my feelings and thoughts aside, the market's saying that it does not deserve an AI premium. So I suppose it's up to the investor to decide whether or not that's true. That makes sense. This has got a lot of Momo set up here to the downside. I mean, if the thing that I don't think that Micron deserves a premium over even AMD.
I don't know why people like this stock. I just don't get it.
I mean, it's just like a proxy for AI.
That's all it is. So, I know they're growing phenomenally well, but they're growing because there's more GPU demand, which goes back to NVIDIA. Like,
what? Yeah, they don't have to have GPU demand to grow. All the GPU demand is more or less priced out. This is wild. Like, there's no AI priced into the stock.
No, but they don't need GPUs, but they need new upgrade cycles on AI computers, which still requires some level of like AI excitement, right? For people to upgrade to the newest Windows.
Yeah,
AI.
you want high bandwidth memory. We know it's high bandwidth memory leader for sure, but that is AI for sure. And yeah, high bandwidth memory is necessary. It just
okay. So thesis here
is funny is like the amount of people that are always like, hey, I just got here.
Yeah, I know, guys. If you just got here, I'm gonna have to keep repeating myself, but rewind.
I love y'all.
Yeah, rewind 30 minutes or go to my Twitter and you'll see what's happening. Okay, so Micron's flat.
June says Biden speaking live.
That's fine. Anyway, Micron's like, well, we're gonna switch to Biden for the next hour. We're gonna watch Biden. Like, okay, Micron's flat. Can we do? Can we do SMCI? A lot of people wanted to see that one as well, and then we'll do SOFI.
You already told them we were gonna do SOFI first. Now you want to change? We're changing it, right?
Let's finish with the semis, and then we'll do SOFI.
All right. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Jose, but it's not a semi. It might trade like a semi, but
wait, what do you define as a semiconductor stock?
A chip.
I don't think the SMH is
computer
focused.
chip.
No, but the SMH doesn't just have chip names.
No, it doesn't. But that's how I define it.
But that's a horrible definition. The SMH is literally the semiconductor ETF, and you're saying
it's like computer gadget. It's a gizmo.
Okay, I don't think anyone's agreeing with you. I think you're not going to win that argument. But
I maybe I'm wrong. It's a box. It is a box. Could be a storage box. Could be a computer box. But it's a box. Is at the spot. I'm not a fan. But that doesn't matter. I think, we had 26 before. It's all the same. Like, you can retest the lows. That's your 200-week simple moving average. This one it's setting up where like you could, if you get it's right where like if you get a downside move here, we could have another. Wow, could we really have another 45 VIX? I don't really hard to believe.
I don't think the NVIDIA news is enough to get a 45 VIX.
No, but like the charts are saying that there's a lot of basically the charts are like this. Everything is at the spot right here, right now, this very moment, where it needs to bounce. SMCI included. It needs to bounce. Just because it needs to doesn't mean it's going to, right? And then you get this bounce, you get the little happy face or whatever, and then you're like, whoop, and that's cool. But how greedy does the market get? Does it want it deeper? That's fine. So like everything is in a spot where, look, this is actually a decent spot for SMCI support right underneath 30. You did just hit a little bit of overhead resistance right at 35. Here's your existing box. There it is. It's literally right here. And I know I'm zoomed out, but like, guys, it ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, and again, like if you're bullish SMCI, you should be bullish NVIDIA. And NVIDIA is a much higher quality stock. Yeah, and NVIDIA is a much higher quality stock than SMCI.
Agreed. All right, I'm gonna move into rapid fire here. So, it's SOFI. This is lower highs, lower lows. It's not great. This is not a. It's not a great setup. Maybe you get a. Maybe you. This is guessing, right? You'd be anticipating a bounce into earnings, which ends up being a sell the news event. Maybe this is the quarter that this is like the one where it doesn't get sold off into good report because they already sell off ahead of. But I think that 14 is still there. That's going to be existing overhead resistance. You kind of like connect these highs right here, and you get something that's a little squeezy. Like you'd really have to reclaim something like this. And then you could get a little move back in the 14. But at 14, it's going to be overhead resistance definitively. What you don't want to see, you don't want to see a little whoopsies like that, because then you will have to go lower. And lower would be more into, I like the 8s where we just were. Like, I can't believe it was this there. Can you believe it was there? Did you buy that?
No, the April 8th, I didn't buy that, no.
$8 it hit. Like, it's so fast, right?
Yeah, it was very quick.
So can it spend a little bit of time like filling this in like this? I think so.
So wait, you think we can get back to 8 on SoFi?
No. Well, I hope not. The thing is, SoFi, same thing. It's like these are all kind of like the areas where you want to buy the deep red, and then that's it. Like, but I'm not interested in buying anything other than fear. Like, I'm not interested in buying green. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. I would be interested in buying like, oh my God, deep red. And even then, it's like, it's not a lot of interest. It's decent interest, but it's like cautious interest. But yeah, I mean,
are you buying NVIDIA or no SoFi here or no?
I'm thinking about as we do this right now. I'm actually thinking about it. My only question is like, is Tanner still here? Tanner's gonna yell at me though.
Tanner, if you're here, let us know.
Because I'm not really sure. Like, if do I buy? If I get a dip like that on SoFi, I probably get a nice dip on hoodie, and I would still kind of prefer the hoodie if I saw like a 30.
I think Tanner would prefer hoodie too if we get the
really.
He's not bearish SoFi, but he's very impressed for hood. There he is. He's listening.
Sub 10, I might nibble, but the thing is, if I get SoFi at sub 10, if I see SoFi sub 10, I'm assuming that hoodie is going to be close to 35s.
That's a good question for everybody. If you have SoFi at $9.99 or hoodie at $30, what do you
$30?
Yeah,
that was not fair. That's
okay, 35.
No 35. That's 35. No contest.
Okay, 35 versus 10. I think more people pick SoFi, to be honest. Unless you've like been hood pilled. But
I don't know. I've had the hood bug for a long time. I'm just telling you, dude, when we get this, I'm gonna start making more money on my sports bet soon once we get all these releases coming. I want NHL playoffs, Vlad. Where are the NHL playoffs? They should be here. They're not here. You're lagging. Hurry up.
Okay, Tanner says he might want to come on to talk NVIDIA. Tanner, you can join for a couple minutes if you want. I'll put the link right there. If you want to just give your quick take. You don't even have to put the video on. You could just give your quick take on NVIDIA. Okay, so for SoFi, it's kind of just a whole.
I think it's temporary condition, right? I think it'll all be temporary condition. It's not a strong level. It's just under 10, more like 975. And the mama's calling.
Oh boy. Okay, while you're on the phone, I will get Tanner in. Tanner, what's happening?
Dude, buzzing. Yeah, pissed about this. I think that this is terrible policy. I think, it's not as big of a deal. I think you actually mentioned that they're sort of banning these chips. That's not exactly true, at least from what I'm reading, that this is a required additional license.
Yeah.
And that's going to be potentially even a one-time charge. But the problem is they're trying to put these restrictions on, they're essentially weaponizing NVIDIA to say, oh, you're not going to be able to catch up to us in this race. So we need to, potentially hold back our best chips. Well, what does China do in that sense? Do they sit on their hands and do nothing? No, they are going to put potentially a ton of money towards Huawei, who is also, designing their own silicon, and they're going to try to solve these problems their own way. And I think that if they just completely opened up Hopper and potentially even opened up Blackwell to China, US would still be able to fight at an advantage while making China reliant on US companies for their chips. I think that this is the completely wrong way.
So do you think it fucks Q1 or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it probably fucks Q1 in the amount that the stock is falling right now. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But it'll be an impact on margins, but it'll be completely seen. Everyone will know what, why margins are down this quarter. But
yeah, it's better
that I'm not worried about. I just think that this is, a really, really bad policy. And look at DeepSeek, you held back the best chips in the world from China. What do you think? You're putting them out of the game? No, they just rethought the way that they were going to do AI, and they did it in a very cheap way. You take away the best chips in the world, or you make it harder for them to buy, or you put additional tariffs on it, they are just going to end up getting a new way around it, or government-funded silicon. It will happen. You're pushing them right into a corner. You think they're going to give up on the fight? Bullshit.
Okay, I have a question. You said they need a license. What license is going to make, like why? The H20 chip is still going to be the same even with the license, right?
Yeah, I think as far as I know, the only report that we're actually getting is just from NVIDIA. So we haven't actually seen this license. But and everyone's saying this is just an NVIDIA thing. It wasn't. It was a power thing. So it would affect AMD and all of these other companies. So my assumption is that they're just lowering what they consider, a chip that will require oversight. So they're still able to send consumer chips and everything like this, stuff that's not too powerful. But it's hard to know. We're only getting what NVIDIA says, and they're right now saying, hey, even our H20 chips now fall under this new barrier that is going to require us to put out, essentially $5.5 billion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just, this is dumb. And that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, you've been NVIDIA shareholder for a long time, so appreciate your take, Tanner.
Thanks, man. And I probably would pick Hood over SoFi here.
Oh, we got it.
Tanner's Hood-filled, bro. Tanner's Hood-filled.
Well, I'm a paid shill, right? That's what it is. That's what everyone
I'm
says.
a paid shill.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
The tide is turning.
Later.
That's
all right. So did Mama say you got to leave in 10 minutes?
No, she said, I told her at least 30. Someone asked, I don't know if it's a real comment or not, but and I'm trying to look it up in the server. Someone asked if the technicals told me this was going to happen, or did the technicals,
like the NVIDIA thing?
Yeah. And I'm trying to find a place in the server because we talked about it.
Jason, you can take a really easy route right here. You can have a really easy response. And people will love your response if you just give the easy answer right now.
All it said was it's not ready yet.
But that's not what they asked. They asked, hey, Jason, did you know NVIDIA was going to say they have a 5?
I don't know if that's really the question. Can you ask the question again?
Jason, that's the intent. You got to just be straight up with it.
Is that the question?
The intent of the question.
The answer is no. The technicals.
That's all people want to hear. That's it. That's all they want to hear.
The technicals did not say it's going to fall how many dollars?
You know what it is? It's not about technicals.
$6
it's not about technicals versus fundamentals. It's about humility. That's what people care about. They just want to know one guy doesn't know every single thing that's going to happen in the market. That's all.
I would have taken it short, and I didn't.
See, when you say that stuff, people, they don't think you have humility. I'm telling you right here, dude.
I didn't take it short, so I didn't know. How's that? Does that not count? It doesn't count. He's telling me it doesn't count.
People appreciate you saying when you don't know. That's why people like me, I don't know anything. So I'm like, oh, guys, I don't fucking know. Like, I can't pronounce any word every morning. It's like, it's all right. It's all right. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's. All right. So.
But I think if it takes another run at this, it has a better chance of breaking up through from this level because it would collect more buyers. Now.
Yeah, I think tomorrow morning we're also going to have to see what the international markets say about this.
I bought a stock today.
What'd you buy? Boeing?
I bought an international stock.
Grabby grab? You bought some grab? Okay, let's do the grab chart.
I just did. I was like, you know what? Everything else looked like it's falling apart. It did. Listen, we knew that he was in some shenanigans. It wasn't technical. It was just like techno said, we're going to barcode to the side and you need to wait and not to take anything new and to close out any directional stuff is what it actually said. But
by the way, real quick before you continue, Arnie, good friend of the channel, he is in Southeast Asia right now and he has been texting me updates. So far, he loves the product experience.
So I was just looking at this and like, okay, big duper. I could be wrong. And this is probably exactly what I said not to do. But like, as I saw it coming into like 1, 2, 3, I think it could pull back a little bit. But if it gets over this $4 level and holds, this was a major breakdown. It's testing it once, big test, 2 tests fail, 3 tests fail. I think that this is knocked on the door enough times. I think we're like, even if it pulls back a little bit to like 370s, it might be building enough momentum to get through. So I think dip buys 375, but I just said I wanted something that has a little bit less. It didn't have a whole lot of tariff exposure to me. It's totally outside the realm of what we're typically doing. I'm like, all right, give me some international something. And I looked at it. I was like, I think it's trying. Could this happen? Yeah, it could. So I'm kind of anticipating.
I think that's fair. I also, from a fundamentals perspective, they sandbagged their EBITDA guidance. If they stop sandbagging in Q2, I think we can get some momentum as well. So
it's possible. It's not probable yet, but you know, this downtrend is cool. Like it's over. If it retests it again, I think I'm fine. But in this little, here's my box from here to here. I'd like to see this act as that nearer term support for. I didn't hold any right now. I've bought some and I've sold some, but I didn't hold any. And I figured I'd go for a little ride.
All right. So guys, we have 23 minutes left. I have a hard stop at 7. So you can put the tickers in the chat. Please do not spam the tickers. You can send it once. I will try to get through as many of them. Really, it's up to Jason how quick he goes on the tickers, but we literally can't do a billion tickers because he needs to take a little bit of time per ticker. So we're going to try to do some rapid fire and then we would have done more, but the NVIDIA stuff kind of held us up. Okay, let's get some quick ones out of the way. Google. What do you think about Google right now?
It really rough day today, but look, I'm not a fan of Google, but honestly, these are just moments where like I just feel like this is cheap. I just don't know if it gets cheaper or not.
That's fair.
It's probably closer than anything to something that I would actually technically be like, I kind of want to bounce here. But the bounce honestly would have been this, after which we got. And so now we're coming back in and retesting. I don't want to see it too deep to see something like that. And all of it is like, you're like right on it. I know it's this level. I would like to be able to kind of shift and maybe buy at support, but like you still got to sell at resistance. So it's kind of like, just under 155, but I do not want this under 150. And this is not going to look good. Under 150. It's where I was talking about before. It's nothing's, dude. They're gonna hate me.
No, it's okay. I mean,
this is probably like if you get under that 2022, like 155 level, like 150 level, collaring the stock is a good option, at least down to 130s. It just seems wild that that's there, but like this is not a bullish chart. Tomorrow can change a lot. Like I said, across the board, I don't really want to do any more tickers because, like, quite frankly, when I have this after hours stuff on right now, tomorrow opens red and we start to flip green in the morning. That's a long. I don't know that that's across the board.
Okay, Jason, I'm going to limit it to like 2 minutes per ticker, or else we're not going to get through anything. So yeah, Nike.
Same thing. Every ticker that you say, I'm going to say the same thing right now. If it goes green tomorrow, it's a long, but like everything is at support. And if it breaks support, it's a short. So I guess the question is, do you want me to tell you where it's like the short is to? It's up, well, the same place as before. It's just under 50.
Under 50, you said. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazon.
It's rip Nike. I mean, it's at support. It's all at support. Amazon. Okay. It was exactly so Friday's level. It's closed on the spot. Amazon was one where I was like, I would take this long in any normal situation. But the fact that it wasn't like this little bounce at the close, this is the level. I'm pretty sure this is the same. Yeah. Oh, it's worse. This was the level that I was looking for. It's under the 2021 all-time high. It hit that, slapped it. These don't look like longs in this moment, but these are the type of charts that could change tomorrow. So I just, it's not a good day because tomorrow, if you're over today's close, it is a long, but I'm not seeing the interest yet just now. Like I'm just not seeing it. And if it loses and inside this range, it's just a no trade zone. No trade. Do not touch this because if you lose that 165, you could be faster than you think. These 150s.
Okay. Him
125s or whatever, which I could deal with 150s. I don't know that I could deal with 125s. That
125s would be insanity.
That would suck. That'd be stupid. It would be very stupid.
All right, Hims.
So a lot of stuff about I mean, I thought that we were going to get some of this releases on what he's doing for the biotech stuff. I think that's kind of like it's in the battle zone here. 25 is what we talked about last time. It hit that. It held. It is not over any kind of resistance at all. It's not going up. It's not going up at all. It means it's probably either down or sideways underneath 30. So this is your resistance here. I feel sad because I'm not giving you bullish. If it changes tomorrow and we're over 31, 33 and holding, okay, cool. But this is not a safe setup by any means. I would not touch this in either direction right now. Something is brewing, and I don't know what it is just yet. If this breaks any lower, it's gulag time. If it goes higher, we know it can be squeezy. So this is a gamble, period.
Okay. CrowdStrike.
Relative strength this morning, today. But into a very difficult level, I'm not going to lie. Into a very, very difficult level. I saw this. It was a great trade if you're long today. But here's some prior breakdowns. This is right into resistance. You can watch it. It's a big W on the daily. Meaning like W is like, they like W. This was the boob pattern, your boob pattern or whatever it was. So nice little double bottom. You're right here on the breakout. I don't know that it breaks out yet, but tomorrow you'll see. Currently looks like it's kind of rejecting that 395, call it 400 psychological level, which is the one of the breakdowns on, what do you call this? Y2K day or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the scene of the crime one more time.
Okay.
I don't really like it.
Apple.
Dude, Apple needs to hold right here. I bought Apple, but I bought it lower, a little bit lower. I bought it in like the one, like right in here, 180 something. Which may be a stupid idea. Maybe not, who knows. I just think it's all like you got to be patient here, man. Like none of this is, I think you can chase, like all of this can go like this, right? But tomorrow could be like, boom, very easily. So that's what I mean. Like the charts can all change. So to say like what's going to happen right now, you don't have enough data. We need a little bit more data. But yeah, 10 or 196, I think, is that session gap. This area is like where I want to see it hold. This is 2023 all-time highs, but can it breach it? Yeah, it can. And I might get it lower, which would be into that. I mean, 170. I wouldn't, in the moment when Apple's 170, sub 170, I'm not really thinking like I got to buy Apple. It's like, oh shit, something's happening.
Right.
But nothing is saying to like today, Thursday, it all said long. Friday, it all said long. Monday, it all said long. Today at the close, none of it said long. Tomorrow morning, it all said like target acquired, close out, get ready for the next move. I don't know exactly where it is. I'll tell you what I'm long. I'm long silver. I'm long silver, SLV. I think gold, we don't see gold breaking down, right? Like gold is not, it's not breaking down, dude. So like you got to be aware, gold's not coming down. That's the safety trade that you need to see. You got gold miners on like the most epic of epic breakouts. If you want to find a bull market, it's over here. You're looking in the wrong spot. This is nasty breakout. This is a big time breakout. And so like silver is the beta to gold, GDX and miners. I mean, someone picked up SLJ silver miners today. PAAS is like the silver miner of silver miners. Just so you know, there's a whole nother market that people might not realize is there, but these look really good. If you want to be bullish, I would come over here. And even maybe some crude, right? So like crude oil futures actually holding, hasn't done like a big move. This is CL for crude futures. So if someone brought up Exxon, Oxy is super low. These are at the low. So when I say that at the lows, they might be a little bit more de-risked than the rest because they haven't had the big move. So maybe these things start moving a little bit tomorrow after some consolidation. But I don't, unless we have a big deep red that gets instantly bought up tomorrow, I'm not sure I'm ready here.
Okay. Can we do Netflix?
Dude. So like, I have a question for you. They come out and they say, we're going to be $1 trillion market cap. Amit says there's no way in hell you become $1 trillion market cap unless you release Netflix After Dark or Netflix XXX, right? So how are they going to do that? Is it inflation?
Well, the fact that the stock's up literally because the CEO is like, hey, I think we can go to $1 trillion.
Inflation.
But it's so coincidental this leaks 3 days before their earnings. That's all, that's.
Yeah. I mean, it's back to where I sold it. And I honestly thought about, I was like, I wanted it more like in the 7s, and it never really got there. It was pretty resilient. It's been pretty resilient. It's
Dude,
like
it's only down 4% year to date. The
It's
S&P
not
down.
even down, dude. It's not even down.
It's been doing great this year.
So it's wild, right?
It's hard for you to do TA, right? Because earnings are on Thursday, so like.
Yeah, no, it's right back. But I honestly, I thought about buying it back anyways before earnings. Like, why would they announce that? Also too in the hoodies auto robo advisor. Have you used that yet?
Yeah. I play with
Do you notice that Netflix is always like one of the top positions on the robo advisors? Is that weird?
It's being treated as a consumer defensive right now, aka recession happens, no one's canceling Netflix.
And if they do, Netflix has an ad-supported tier,
which they think is going to grow rapidly. So
right, that's just because they don't know about the Netflix After Dark yet. Because then that goes, it's over.
It's over. Okay,
but I do think that the $1 trillion market cap is probably due to inflation, maybe not so much growth. They gave it 5 years, or no, yeah, 5. They gave it 5 years to get there.
If they double revenues and trade at a 10 times,
yeah, and if inflation doubles in 5 years, there you go, $1 trillion, no big deal, right?
I would hope inflation doesn't go up 50% in 5 years, but
dude, it's gone up like 50% in the last 5 years. Let's be real.
I don't think it hasn't,
dude. Okay, first
it's up 2% a year for 5 years. That's what 10%.
Compounded? No. It's compounded 2%.
Yeah, but that's still not 50.
Do you not? I feel like I spent, I don't know. I feel like I spent 50% more on random little knickknacks.
That I feel, yes, that 100%. I agree.
Yeah,
100% agree. Okay, can we do a Bitcoin, but not too
He's
much.
Not bullish, dude. I'm not bullish. I'm not. I would say it's. I don't like to sell it, but like, you're not. I was on something today, and someone was like, "I like Bitcoin." I'm like, "What part of this Bitcoin chart do you like?"
I'll tell you.
Help me understand.
It hasn't fell with the Nasdaq as easily.
How is that bullish?
Well, it's not bearish.
It's
been yours. Didn't you buy it in 2010 for this moment? You thought it would be the hedge against,
MSTR shorts?
Not that one.
No, I mean, if I saw a dip into this kind of range, like over here, look, I'm gonna draw this line. You might laugh at me, but the only time I legitimately would buy this is down here. Just personally, I don't care what you think the president is going to do. Like, that's a good dip buy. That's the last time I'm at bought. Anyways.
All right. So you're bearish Bitcoin and bearish MSTR then as a result.
I'm not bullish either. I don't want to say bearish, but it's not. All I'm saying is like, that's the kind of discount that I would need to be excited about buying more Bitcoin.
Do you still have the MSTZ, the short?
Yeah. And it's not working, dude. So MSTR is like a little bit lower than what I bought it for. I feel like I deserve I feel like I have a special dividend coming or something, because it's not tracking well. So I'm not happy with the way that it's not tracking well, but this is, again, it's not a long here today. Like I literally added up here, but it's like $30 higher was my last buy. But when I bought it up here, it was more expensive than it is right here, is my point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, something's not jiving.
So, but you're still bearish MSTR regardless.
Yeah. Look at this. This doesn't make sense. That's a mistrack. Something got messed up here. They messed something up. So
okay.
It was at 20. I was buying in, like, this is like my cost basis in here.
Okay.
And so this is down, and I'm like, that's not making sense.
All right. So bearish Bitcoin, bearish MSTR. Can we look at Costco?
Bearish Costco.
It's still trading at a crazy multiple, right? Costco. Yeah, it's still trading at 54 times, dude. My goodness.
It's the thing is, like, it's bearish, but it's not like Armageddon bearish. Does that make sense? Like it's like bearish for a dip. That's probably a buy.
100%. 100. I agree. Yeah.
So like I would love to see that in the 940s. So it's like bearish for a short time, not a long time. For a good time, not a long time. Is that it?
Yes.
But I could easily change on all this. Like all of this setup is like, psh, dude, you open deep red tomorrow morning, and so tomorrow is important. Tomorrow morning, the bears are going to have control, and I think this is the dynamics of what happens in the morning is super important because the bears will have full control tomorrow morning after a 10% rally off the lows. Can they put in another like knife, or do they weak out? Do you see what I'm saying? If they don't have the ammo left, either because they've run out of ammo or because the bulls are hungry, if they fail to sweep the lows again tomorrow morning, they're tired. The bears are tired.
No, I agree 100%.
And so
they need more headlines.
Yes, it's scary. Yes, it looks, and that's why I'm cautious because like right here, right now, this exact moment, it looks bearish, but like you missed the short already because it was basically the close, which I didn't see that. And tomorrow you might have to close your shorts because if you exhaust the lows early, pre-market lows, and then you start heading and you start breaching pre-market highs early, get out of the way because this could be spring loaded.
Okay, we can do a couple more. TMDX. Anything you're seeing here? This is an organ delivery company that has a lot of buzz.
I do not know why it's at 85. I was short this for a minute. And then they had earnings. Yeah, I can't get behind it. It needs to show a little bit more if I were to be like, oh, this is bullish. Right here, right now, this is like not interesting because it's right into overhead resistance where it was just breaking down. It's not giving me a trigger to short because it's exhausting to the upside right now. Exhausting as in like the bulls look a little tired. Tomorrow morning, if you get a little something like this, that is a short. And the only way it's a long is a little something like that. So literally right here, right now, this is a no touch. One more time.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know if I like that because you have this. This is in the way. This is in the way right here. Even that I don't really like.
Okay, last two. Real quick on this one. EOSE is pumped 20% today.
HXHX, what?
No, EOSE. This is a energy company.
Why did it pump?
What do you say?
Why did it pump?
I have no idea. Yeah, you might have nothing to say on this. That's fine.
Right into resistance. It stops exactly where it's supposed to stop. And it did not carry on further, so move complete. I don't have anything to say it's a short here. And I definitely don't have anything to say it's a long either.
Okay, last one is Trade Desk, TTD. This one's on a heavy discount. Or you could do MP too if you want.
Yeah, so do you want to tell them a story about MP?
Yeah, so this is a rare earth minerals company, and China is now theoretically banning rare earth minerals, which is why this is pumping. Also, real quick, we did get a headline on rare earth minerals 20 minutes ago. I don't think it's bullish, but Trump is launching a critical minerals tariff or an investigation into how to tariff critical minerals. across the world.
So I took a shot on MP not that like a couple of years ago. I was trading this something here. I think I definitely, I don't remember if I lost or not. Maybe it was over here. Maybe it was over here, and then I just got tired of it. But now it has catalyst. At the time, the short interest was extremely high. Can you pull that up really quick?
For MP?
Mhm.
Yeah. Current
No.
short interest on this stock is 18%.
Yeah. So again, this is a stock where it is extremely high short interest, and in the middle of a very like bullish reversal, actually. It has squeeze potential because of that short interest. 20% is a lot. And it is making higher highs and higher lows. So I think, if you get as close to 20, you can, but this one, maybe even like 23s, that's holding, you're about to breach a pretty critical mass, where I think if the shorts haven't started covering, well, I think they have, because I believe it was a lot higher than that before. But it has some catalyst that could push it higher. Is interesting, but it's not it's high risk here because it's come up so much.
Yeah, Chris Camillo said something interesting today. He was like, if you want to take these trades that move on the headlines, like the rare earth minerals headline, you've got to be, is basically what you've been saying, in and out. Because if you think, okay, I'm going to get in the day after the headline, it's like, it's too late.
Yeah.
Thanks today,
No, yeah, it's too late. A lot of times sell the news, right? So again, the way you play news is if it's a good headline and the stock is not going up, it's a short. If it's a bad headline and the stock is not going down, it's usually a long, meaning it was priced in already. So if it's a good headline and it's not going up, it's not ready to go. It was already priced in. You don't have anything new to look forward to yet. So you have to wait for that next catalyst. But it looks, it's not crushed. I think it's interesting. I'm looking at it. I pulled it up because I think it's something to watch. It goes in that commodity basket. If we still stay in this potential stagflationary moment, then you do want to be long commodities and that kind of thing. And this fits firmly in that.
Okay. Last one is TTD.
Oh, dude, Patrick from Grindr's here.
What? Where?
Your friend.
Who's named Patrick?
They said it was, you guys had a meetup last night.
Let's see, this is people. Oh, hi, Amit. It's Patrick from Grindr. It was fun meeting last night.
That's cute.
See, people are going to believe this now. And now Patrick's going to become a meme on this channel. Anyway.
Patrick.
Trade desk.
I'm on it. So again, dude, it's all here. Like normal setup. This is like support and you would expect it to hold, but you're not getting, this is what's kind of sus, right? Like the sussiness here is that this should, Amazon, Google, all of this, it should be at an epic bounce spot. But because today we had this signing of whatever behind closed doors, the whole market was on edge. Nobody was buying more. And in fact, we did see a lot of UVXY calls coming through, which is very weird. UVXY, if you don't know, is a 1.5x leverage long VIX. Well, yeah, you should have seen that. Here's the problem. This is perfect, right? You should have seen this bounce more than this. Like this bounce should have taken out that high. You can hold it here. But where's the interest? Why is this $48? I'm missing something here in the story.
Dude, it was 120 2 months ago.
I'm missing something, like a leadership issue. This is a leadership, lack of faith in leadership is what this chart says. I mean, it would be shop, would be your other story, $80. It's at least holding something, but also in the gulag. at the moment, looking like a good price. But again, we're at the spot where like you would expect this to bounce. I don't see it happening yet. I need to wait for it to start happening before I can like, all right, we're going to happen. But it's not there yet. Maybe it's tomorrow morning. Maybe it's not. But
also, TTD is ad tech, and if ad budgets are going down because of tariffs, that could be a easy headwind for them. It's a headwind for Meta and Google as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to be long. Dude, I'm watching Google YouTube, and it gives me a Spanish commercial. I don't speak Spanish. I don't even know why I'm getting a Spanish commercial on Google on YouTube. What is that?
That's fair.
Someone's getting their ad spend wasted.
That's a fair point.
So all right, it's all there, but I don't see the interest showing up yet. Maybe it shows up tomorrow, but the fact that I don't have the interest is suspicious of continuation. I'm not. It's suspicious of continuation, yet I don't have enough to say it's all gulag time either. If they go lower, then yeah, it's on. But it's kind of like blanket, no touch. You got a nice bounce. Acknowledge that you got a nice bounce, and maybe that might have been it for a minute. But I don't know. We have this tradable low, which to me, that Monday capitulatory low. What this whole process is being able to define that as a capitulation low and build a net new base. And that whole process can be a little choppy.
Yeah, I agree. Rumi, also a great point right here. People believe TTD won't have a place on future search results, which is the technology they build for. So,
yeah, but I mean, is this a short?
App loving. This has been a short for a while, but
Amit says it's a short.
I don't know anything about. All I know is
right?
It
20x this gap.
It 10x last year. Like that was never sustainable.
All right, so it's a short. All right, so we can agree.
Well, I just don't know enough about the financials.
What contract? I got $100. Amit, tell me what to buy quick.
Buy bonds so yield can come down, and maybe we can fix this.
Oh God, I don't have that much cash available. You got a gap down to 175. This is in range.
App loving. Oh yeah, this stupid stock made me lose the hood trivia. Oh no, you won this one. Yeah, I forgot.
Off App loving. Yeah.
All right, I got to get out of here.
Okay.
Jason, thank you so much. Jason's Twitter right here in the chat. I'm putting it here. As you can see, Jason, everyone still loves you, no matter what.
Some of them.
So, no, everyone loves you. People love you.
Today.
Tomorrow, even though Jason knew NVIDIA would fall 6% because of the chart. So
I didn't know NVIDIA. Dude, the chart didn't say. The chart didn't say that a license was going to come out. There's no way that you could have known. All you could know is right now is that all the charts say they said long, 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 long. And then today at the close, they said not long, but they did not say short either. They said, wait for the next move.
This is the nature of this market. It is a hard time to budget. But
listen, Amit is getting his scar tissue that he so deserves. And he's going to be a better trader.
No, but not just me, all of us, right? Like, I mean, I went through.
Dude, I got enough. I don't need any more.
Realistically, I've only seriously experienced 2022, and so you get more.
Dude, I always bring up December 2018 as like some of my horror stories, right?
But my friend was trading, and he told me about it. I wasn't trading, and he lost like 20 grand, which was a lot of money at the time in college. So,
yeah, like. It's wild. And it's just like, I'd hate to say it, just like this, because you have a setup for a bounce and you get it. It's coming. And then you're like halfway to your target.
Yeah.
Right? Like halfway there. And then like another rug pull. And you're like, dude, I just need a little bit more.
Yeah, like imagine people buying NVIDIA today at 110 thinking the coast is clear, $500 billion announcement. Trump tweeted about NVIDIA, and then this shit. Like this is it's hard for people to stomach this stuff.
And then maybe he goes outright, no, you're not allowed to sell anything to any other country. We're the only country that's allowed to have AI. Like, come on. It's Trump. This is, what is it? The Art of the Deal 2.0. We don't know what the sequel holds.
Yeah, 100%. There's Jason's Twitter. Jason, thank you again. We'll have you next Tuesday. And yeah, appreciate you spending the time.
All right, guys. Appreciate you all. Adios.
Adios. See ya. All right, guys. I am out. Daily recap will be out in a couple hours. I have another live stream tonight for my Palantir folks. 9:30. I'm speaking with GoCarp, also known as Adam, on the NATO deal. So we'll be back 9:30 to probably 10:30 tonight. If you want some more Palantir stuff, we're going to be dissecting that NATO deal in depth. Daily recap will be out probably in like an hour, 8 o'clock, 8:15-ish. And I'm going to try to get more details on this NVIDIA stuff. I mean, obviously it broke in real time, so we all tried to make sense of it. But is it a ban? Is it a license? Is it an indefinite ban? It's definitely a Q1 $5 billion hit. Does that fall into Q2? What does that mean for the earnings multiples for fiscal year 2026? I think there's a lot to dissect. A lot of people are waking up right now across the world to this news. And so they're probably putting in their trades as well, maybe buying the dip, maybe selling. So we're going to have to wait until 9:30 tomorrow to really see what the reaction is on NVIDIA. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Love you all. Daily recap later today. Palantir stream tonight at 9:30, so in about 2 hours. And we'll be back on the market open tomorrow. As normal, 8:45 a.m. Every day. There's something every day. You can't say this is not one of the most exciting markets, either if it's good news or bad news, but every single day we've got something new to look at. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you guys later tonight. Bye, everyone.